the most epic Zodiac Knights system. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 76 When Xiaobei. First update. When Xiaobei trembled slightly, picked up his grandfather's only remaining hand, and put it on his face. The familiar touch was still there, dry and rough, but cold, without a trace of warmth. "Grandpa, it's not real," when Xiaobei murmured, tears falling from the corners of his eyes and hitting the ground. His grandfather was dead, the familiar people were dead, and he was the only one who survived. When Xiaobei gently put down his grandfather's hand and moved his fingers to turn over the surrounding corpses, he wanted to find the rest of his grandfather's body. However, the remains were too scattered to tell who they belonged to. When Xiaobei's fingers were covered with sticky blood, he lowered his head weakly and sobbed. He couldn't find it at all. Couldn't find it at all. Why? Why on earth? When Xiaobei's face showed hatred. He didn't understand. He didn't understand why someone wanted to kill them. They were just a very humble group that couldn't even eat well. They would never provoke any big shots. But why? Why did everyone die? When Xiaobei silently took the full bag, poured out the dry firewood inside, carefully put his grandfather's hand in, as well as the old head, a piece of Uncle Erpang's meat. He had to carry these things on his back. He had to find a place to bury everyone, build a tomb, and erect a monument. After wandering for so long, it was time to rest. When Xiaobei burst into tears again, he scolded himself for being unpromising, having a soft temper, and always crying. A man should not cry, but now he could not stop crying. After a while, when Xiaobei filled the big bag, he wanted to fill more, but he couldn't fit in anymore. His clothes were also stuffed with body parts. He looked at the corpses lying on the ground, knelt down, kowtowed 3 times, put his fingers together, and said all the saints and sages he knew, as a prayer for everyone. "Everyone, I'm leaving." When Xiaobei carried the bag with great effort and walked towards the distance, his goal was a village very close to here. There was a sister there who was very kind and gave him an apple. He could beg the sister, maybe she would let him lie under the eaves for one night. Outside the village, there was a cemetery where grandpa and his family could be buried. When Xiaobei counted on his fingers, thinking about everything except himself, he was a little boy, stumbling along the road. The streams of light in the sky frightened when Xiaobei. In the place where the spiritual light was dense, he moved carefully under the dense tree canopy, not daring to make any noise. He was afraid that someone would suddenly come and kill him, and then there would be no way to bury everyone's bodies. However, when Xiaobei walked out of the jungle and just walked a few dozen meters away, a transcendent realm warrior who stepped on the spiritual light fell from the sky and landed in front of Xiaobei leisurely. "Hey, look what I found. There is actually a kid from a small group of warriors here, and he is carrying a big bag. Could it be the treasure of your small group? Show it to me." The warrior grinned, looking at Xiaobei with excitement, as if he was looking at a toy. Plop. Xiaobei was frightened, and he stepped back a few steps and sat on the ground. Xiaobei tightly grasped the bag, his face pale. "Boy, show me what's in your bag, or I'll kill you." The warrior laughed. Xiaobei was trembling with fear, but he still grasped the bag, his lips trembling, and said, "My lord, the bag is full of the bones of my relatives. There are no treasures. Bones. TSK, I don't believe it. Seeing you are so nervous, there must be other things in it. Give it to me," the warrior said in a deep voice, with murderous intent in his eyes. "Don't. What did you say?" The warrior was a little angry. A kid who was not even in the innate realm dared to disobey him, a master of the mortal realm. He really wanted to die. "No." When Xiaobei screamed in fear, holding the bag tightly. "These were the remains of everyone, and they could not be given to outsiders. I'll take them myself." He grabbed the bag with his big hands and was about to take it from Xiaobei's arms, but Xiaobei kept screaming and refused to let go. "Stop making so much noise, give it to me." The old bag could not withstand the tearing of the two people, and it broke apart with a hissing sound, and pieces of body parts fell out of it and landed on the ground. "What?" They are really some corpses, disgusting enough. The warrior said angrily. Everyone. When Xiaobei rushed over anxiously, lying on the ground, and gathered the body parts on the ground with his hands. The warrior looked at Wen Xiaobei lying on the ground, and a malicious smile appeared on his face. He kicked Wen Xiaobei aside, and stepped on a piece of body parts. Boy, do you care about these remains? Wen Xiaobei spit out a mouthful of blood. The kick from the transcendent realm warrior caused his internal organs to shift. Wen Xiaobei nodded vigorously after hearing the warrior's words. There was no resentment towards the warrior on his face. He crawled down with hope in his eyes and said, "Please give me these bones. They are useless to you anyway." Okay. The warrior laughed, which made Wen Xiaobei smile. But before Wen Xiaobei could raise his mouth, a snapping sound froze his expression. "I can give them to you, but they are broken." Haha. The warrior crushed the remains under his feet, and bone powder and blood foam were scattered. And this one, and this one. Snap, snap, snap. The sound of bones breaking rang out, and the warrior had a cruel smile on his face. He was extremely excited. He played with the weak, and made them despair in hope. This kind of scene was his favorite. He stepped down one by one, continuously hitting the old man's head and Uncle Erpang's flesh, which were also turned into a pool of bone slag and blood mud under the warrior's trampling. When Xiaobei's body suddenly shook, and his eyes became focused, he saw the warrior's foot aimed at his grandfather's old hand, and was about to step on it. No. When Xiaobei cried and rushed over, but his movements were too slow. Before he could get there, the warrior's foot fell. Bang. Blood, flesh, and bones splattered everywhere. When Xiaobei was stunned, he stretched out his hand and grabbed, but caught nothing. When Xiaobei closed his eyes, tears sliding down his cheeks. He didn't know this warrior. Why did he come to bully him? Just because he was a weak person, he had to be bullied? Don't the weak have the right to survive? From the moment they are born, they must be laughed at, played with, and slaughtered at will, and their lives are in danger? What's the point of living like this? When Xiaobei didn't move, which made the warriors who trampled on the stumps feel bored. A fireball condensed in his hand and he grinned. He never thought of letting Wen Xiaobei go. After all, Master Wen Yigong wanted to clear the field. No one in this small group of warriors could be left alive. Die. Boom. A bright light flashed, and a huge energy wave burst out. Wen Xiaobei's heart was dead silent, and he didn't take any protective measures. Just when the energy was about to hit Wen Xiaobei, a soft wind suddenly rose, as if something blocked the aftermath of the energy for him. When Xiaobei opened his eyes in surprise, he saw a man carrying a bronze box standing in front of him. His body was as upright as a pillar of heaven, and his momentum was as heavy as a mountain. The man carrying the bronze box stretched out a fist, and the warrior who arrogantly deceived Wen Xiaobei vomited blood, and flew backwards for hundreds of meters, crashing into a boulder. His body was eroded and bloody, and it was unknown whether he was alive or dead. "Are you okay?" The man retracted his fist, turned around, and showed a smiling young face. When Xiaobei stared at this man blankly, the warmth and kindness in that smile entered his heart, and made him burst into tears. He will never forget this gentle smile for the rest of his life. Chapter 77. Enemies on the Road of Trial, Part 2. Are you okay? I'm okay. I'm okay. When Xiaobei, with tears on his face, wanted to put his hand on Yanqing's outstretched hand, but he saw that his hand was dirty, so he retracted it. He looked very nervous, not understanding why such a powerful person would help him. Yanqing smiled, stretched out his hand, tightly grasped Wen Xiaobei's retracted hand, and pulled him up. "Don't be afraid, you should be able to feel that I'm a good person." When Xiaobei stood timidly beside Yanqing, he hesitated for a while, and then mustered up the courage to say, "Thank you, you're welcome. When encountering such a thing, warriors of my generation should help." Yanqing touched Wen Xiaobei's head and said gently. Suddenly, Yanqing's eyes fixed, and he saw the broken limbs, bones and blood on the ground. These are the remains of everyone in our small group of warriors except me. I don't know why, but when I came back from collecting firewood, everyone died. I brought these remains with me to bury them, but I couldn't protect them well." When Xiaobei said silently, looking very sad, Yanqing sighed and said nothing. Although he had never experienced the pain of losing a loved one, he knew that it was definitely not pleasant, and it must be an extremely heavy blow to a teenager of 14 or 15 years old. I don't understand why our small group was destroyed. We didn't provoke anyone. Wen Xiaobei murmured. Who said you didn't provoke anyone? You provoked Lord Weigong. The transcendent realm warrior who was blown away by Yanqing slowly stood up, covered his chest, and stared at Yanqing and Wen Xiaobei viciously. Yanqing's punch directly broke several of his ribs and injured him seriously. Why? We didn't provoke him. Wen Xiaobei shouted excitedly. There was hatred in his eyes when he looked at the transcendent realm warrior. Heh, our Lord Weigong wants to clear the field, so naturally you small groups must be wiped out, otherwise the golden bridge opportunity will be wasted, if you guys get it. The warrior said proudly. Golden bridge opportunity? So that's how it is. Yanqing was silent. It turned out that the source of all this was caused by him, but the Weigong mentioned by this warrior was too cruel. In order to clear the field, he wanted to eliminate all the small groups of warriors in this area and kill many innocent people. Crackling. Yanqing's fingers were crackling, and he was angry. Such people are definitely the cancer of Aurora Star and even Swan Star domain. One of the most important trials for every Fu student on the road of trial is to eliminate such people. This is the obligation of Fu students. Who is Weigong? What is his cultivation? Yanqing asked in a deep voice. What? You don't know Lord Weigong? Is he from the outside world? Lord Weigong is an immortal, and he can kill you with one finger, the warrior sneered. Immortal? It seems that he is my first enemy on the road of trial. Yanqing whispered, his eyes cold and gloomy. What did you say? I can't hear you. The transcendent realm warrior thought Yanqing was scared, and said triumphantly, why don't you apologize to me quickly? How dare you attack me? I'm a subordinate of Lord Weigong. If you offend me, you will offend Lord Weigong. No one on this Aurora Star can save you. Wen Xiaobei hid behind Yanqing. This warrior scared him very much. Yanqing frowned and forgot to deal with the guy in front of him. He raised his hand and a ball of freezing air condensed out. The temperature around him dropped by dozens of degrees, which made Wen Xiaobei shudder. What are you going to do? If you attack me, you will definitely not survive. Lord Weigong will kill you. The warrior said fiercely. I already know everything I want to know. You talk too much nonsense. Freezing fist. Yanqing moved, crossed hundreds of meters, and instantly pressed on the chest of the transcendent realm warrior, and UN energy erupted. Sizzle. Ice crystals spread rapidly, covering his entire body, turning this unbelievable transcendent realm warrior into an ice sculpture. Yanqing punched with all his strength again. Boom. The ice sculpture shattered, and the warrior was directly torn into hundreds of pieces. This was a life and death trial. Yanqing knew very well that the faster the enemy was killed, the better, and he should not give the enemy any chance. Otherwise, once the enemy had a killer move to turn the tables, or notified other enemies to come, it would be bad. Yanqing shook off the ice crystals that splashed on his body, and came to the shocked Wen Xiaobei. So powerful. Wen Xiaobei stared at Yanqing with admiration, full of relief. The man carrying the bronze box was really too strong, and the transcendent realm warrior he was afraid of was defeated in an instant. Wen Xiaobei squatted down and found the broken bag. His face wrinkled, and he looked frustrated. He couldn't put everyone's bodies in it. Here you go. Yanqing looked at the remains on the ground, took out a bag from his space ring, and handed it to Wen Xiaobei. Come, I'll clean it up with you. Thank you. Wen Xiaobei burst into tears. No one had ever been so gentle to him, except the people in the small group. After dozens of minutes, Wen Xiaobei put the undamaged remains into the bag. Yanqing stared at the body of the transcendent realm warrior. With a wave of his robe sleeve, a ball of sun gold flame fell and turned it into nothingness. Let's go. Someone died here. It is estimated that someone will come soon. We must leave here. Is there any city or other residential area nearby? Yanqing asked. Yes, there is a small village a few dozen miles to the east. I want to go there too. Wen Xiaobei carried the bag on his back and said to Yanqing. Then I'll go with you. It happens that I'm not familiar with this place. Yanqing smiled. That's great. I won't be afraid if you are here. Wen Xiaobei said happily. My name is Yanqing. What's your name? My name is Wen Xiaobei. Wen means temperature, and Xiaobei means Xiaobei. The two figures slowly disappeared in the distance. After an hour, a stream of light fell on the place where the battle had taken place before. This was a red-haired young man, about 27 or 28 years old, also a transcendent realm warrior, with an indifferent expression. He took out the communicator and said, "Boss, Jiu Oming disappeared here. Although there is no trace, there is energy fluctuation. He should have been killed. Transcendent realm warriors are also a considerable force. Find out who killed Jiu Oming. It is very likely that it was done by Lord Wei Gong's enemies. You have to investigate this matter carefully. Gather the transcendent realm warriors and let them clean up this area in groups. Don't be left alone." Someone said on the other end of the communicator. "Boss, I understand." The young man in red hung up the phone. He lowered his head and picked up some soil. He smelled the smell of blood from it. This bloody smell belonged to many people. He looked deep in his eyes and looked to the east. Tracking breath is what he is best at. You can't escape if you kill our people. The red-haired young man stepped on a ray of light and chased in the direction where Yanqing and Wen Xiaobei disappeared. Chapter 78, Lurking Shadows, Part 3. Yanqing and Wen Xiaobei walked for less than an hour before arriving at the village that Wen Xiaobei mentioned. It was more like a small town than a village. There were many tall buildings, which were much stronger than the first-tier cities in the old AD era. However, there were not many people here, and the village was quiet. When Yanqing and Wen Xiaobei arrived here, it was already night, but only a few families had turned on the lights. Wen Xiaobei stared at a dark house with a very disappointed look on his face. The big sister in this house was a very nice person, but it was a pity that she left here. Maybe she was afraid of being affected by the battle of the warriors, so she left a long time ago. Isn't there a city nearby? Go there. Maybe you can see the person you want to see. Xiaobei. Yanqing looked at Xiaobei's gloomy face and comforted him. No need, Brother King, since you can't see her, forget it. I just want to thank her. Let's go to the cemetery first and let everyone rest in peace as soon as possible. When Xiaobei shook his head and turned to leave the village, Yanqing sighed and followed silently. When Xiaobei carried the bag and walked to the middle of the cemetery, he walked around the cemetery, carefully looked at the location of other graves, found a place he thought was good, and started digging. Yanqing came over to help, but was rejected by Wen Xiaobei. He wanted to bury the dead with his own hands. This was the responsibility he had to bear as the only one who survived. Yanqing looked at Wen Xiaobei, who had no tools, and dug the soil with branches and hands. Seeing the expression on his tender face that only adults would have, he couldn't help but feel touched. Suffering makes people grow, but such suffering is too cruel. Yanqing would rather Wen Xiaobei live happily without suffering, instead of carrying sadness and pain and moving forward. This era is far from being as peaceful and beautiful as Yanqing imagined. It is still full of contradictions and cruelty, far more severe than the old AD era. The human territory covers the galaxy, with tens of thousands of planets, and there will be more darkness. Yanqing couldn't help but feel somewhat fortunate that he was adopted by Yang Su and spent more than 10 years of peaceful life on Taoan Star. Although he was often laughed at, compared with Wen Xiaobei's life of struggling at the bottom and living in danger day and night, it was simply heaven. When Yanqing thought of this, he was shocked, and ripples appeared in his sea of consciousness. His mental strength increased a lot at once. Because he drank the tea of the Lord of Xianfu, he broke through to the middle level of the sixth sense. The somewhat frivolous small universe finally stabilized at this moment. This is the benefit of refining the mind, and is also part of the road of trial. Yanqing took the first step here. If one day he can refine his mind, he can directly become a saint. When Xiaobei's fingernails were turned over and bleeding, he endured the pain and dug a pit about 1 meter deep. Looking at the fruits of his labor, Xiaobei wiped his sweat and showed a pure smile. He was about to take out the bag and put the bones in the pit, but his bloody hands were shaking and he couldn't use any strength, and the bag fell to the ground. When Xiaobei squatted anxiously, trying to pick it up, but his hands were unable to exert force and he could not catch it. Alas. Yanqing sighed, walked forward, held Wen Xiaobei's hands, and activated the gentle power of the small universe to heal the wounds on Wen Xiaobei's body. Wen Xiaobei's eyes widened. He could feel a warm power surging, and his wounds were healing rapidly. Even after being kicked by the warrior, the dull pain in his chest became comfortable. In just a few minutes, Wen Xiaobei felt that his whole body had recovered and was full of strength. "How is it?" Yanqing asked with a smile. "Brother King, it's amazing. My body doesn't hurt anymore." Wen Xiaobei touched his body and said in surprise, "It's good that it doesn't hurt anymore, Xiaobei. Next, I will come with you. I also saved you and protected everyone's bones, and I can also come to build the tomb so that everyone can rest in peace. The sooner the better," Yanqing said seriously. "Okay." Wen Xiaobei hesitated for a moment and nodded. With Yanqing joining in, the tomb was built quickly. Yanqing found a hard stone and used Yuaning to split it into a square tombstone. He placed it in front of the tomb. There was a line of crooked words on it. "May the warriors of the Gale warrior group rest in peace here." The signature was Wen Xiaobei. "Grandpa, I miss you so much. Really miss you. Uncle Erpang, I can't eat your cooking anymore. Old uncle, you can't save me from grandpa's punishment anymore. This is the last time I cry. I won't cry again. I want to be a man like grandpa." Wen Xiaobei knelt in front of the tomb and murmured a lot of words. Yanqing avoided him from a distance. At this time, it was not suitable for him to stay here. Yanqing looked up and looked at the sky. The Aurora star is very large, with 3 satellites. Under the reflection of the stars in the sky, 3 large disks rise in the night sky, shining on the entire planet. When Xiaobei finished speaking and stood up, Yanqing saw the situation and was about to walk over. A warning suddenly appeared in his heart. He quickly turned sideways and avoided a sharp cold light by a hair's breadth. Clang! A metallic sound rang out, and 3 cold lights crossed and fell, just right to seal Yanqing's body, making him unable to dodge. A black crescent-shaped magic weapon appeared above his head, and a black dirty water flow gushed out. Yanqing's hair stood on end. The person hiding in the darkness seemed to have calculated his movements. The black water flowed over his head with a foul smell, and Yanqing felt an inexplicable danger. Fortunately, he had a lot of ways to purify this evil thing. Boom. Fiery sun fist. Yanqing's body was covered with the golden flames of the sun. The black water flow was evaporated before it touched his body. The mighty fist intention scattered, and a brilliant sun appeared. The sun shone everywhere, making the enemy hiding in the dark uncomfortable, and his steps paused slightly. There. Yanqing's eyes condensed. Although it was only for a moment, he was still able to capture the enemy's trace. His microcosm was rotating, and his mental power firmly locked onto the enemy. Freezing fist. Yanqing raised his hand and sprinkled several freezing air, slowly freezing the enemy's figure. Without waiting for the enemy to take any action, Yanqing once again made a full-strength move, swinging the Pegasus Meteor Fist, determined to kill the enemy in one go. More than 1,000 meteor-like fist rays fell, beautiful but full of murderous intent. The frozen enemy could not quickly leave the coverage of the Meteor Fist at this time, and could only passively take the beating. Boom. The figure was immediately covered by the fist rays, and was beaten into a sieve. Yanqing suddenly frowned. He felt that this figure seemed to be missing something, which made him feel very strange and bad. Yanqing was shocked. What this figure lacked was the breath of a human being. It was a puppet. He was deceived. Then the real enemy should be. Yanqing immediately turned around and saw a red-haired young man who was pinching Wen Xiaobei's throat tightly. Wen Xiaobei's face turned red, and he kicked with his feet, but couldn't touch the red-haired young man. "Let him go," Yanqing said anxiously. He felt very bad. Now the enemy has completely taken the initiative. The red-haired young man looked at Yanqing indifferently, with a light in his eyes. He didn't say a word, and looked at Yanqing with mockery. The two people were opposed to each other. The situation was tense. The air seemed to solidify, and the battle was about to break out. Thank you Shang01 for the reward. 12 will update the book well, while ensuring the quality. I also recommend a friend's book equals Summoning the Lord chapter 79 enemy. Yanqing's face was solemn and his whole body was tense. He was too careless. He didn't expect that there would be enemies in secret. He didn't expect that the enemy who attacked fiercely and accurately was just a puppet. The real enemy had already avoided him and caught Wen Xiaobei, making him afraid to act rashly. Yanqing felt the importance of the trial again at this time. He had too little combat experience. The enemies he faced before had never used such means. This battle might be his most difficult battle. Yanqing didn't know whether to take action or not. Once he took action, if Wen Xiaobei died, Yanqing would never forgive himself in his heart. But if he didn't take action and let others slaughter him, then he and Wen Xiaobei would be killed, which was even worse. Yanqing looked at the red-haired young man who was holding Wen Xiaobei tightly, and said in a deep voice, "As long as you dare to hurt him, you can't leave here today." When the red-haired young man heard this, the corner of his mouth curled up, and his hand tightened. Wen Xiaobei's face turned purple, and it was very difficult to breathe. "I'll say it again, if you use your hand again, I will attack." Yanqing knew that he must not give in or show weakness at this moment. He must be tough and tough. A ball of cold air appeared on his hand, and the faint cold light slowly made the mockery in the eyes of the red-haired young man fade away, replaced by a serious look. Yanqing used his actions to clearly tell the red-haired young man that he would never be coerced to kill or hurt Wen Xiaobei, and he would definitely take action and let you die with him. Only by making the enemy feel his determination to perish together, and at all costs, can he gain the initiative. A few minutes passed, and the two said nothing. Their mental power locked on each other. "You win," the red-haired young man said, and his hand slowly loosened, causing Wen Xiaobei's pressure to suddenly decrease, and he began to cough. "What do you want?" Yanqing breathed a sigh of relief. He finally gained a certain initiative. "Don't worry, I just want to ask you a few questions. I won't fight you, nor will I threaten you with this little guy. As long as you answer my questions truthfully, I can let him go. But if you lie, this little guy will die. Don't try to deceive me. We who have lived in darkness for a long time know very well the muscle force and facial expressions when lying," the red-haired young man said. Yanqing was in deep thought. He couldn't figure out what the red-haired young man was thinking at this time. He said he was an enemy, but he didn't ask questions. If he was an enemy, he should be killed directly. But it's better this way, so that Xiaobei won't get hurt. Whatever tricks this person has, he will take them. "You say," the red-haired young man said lightly, "I followed you two for a while. During your conversation, I found a very interesting fact. You are not familiar with the Aurora Star, or the Swan Star region. In this case, you should be from the outside world." Yanqing's eyes condensed. This guy actually heard his conversation with Xiaobei. Seeing Yanqing's performance, the red-haired young man's eyes flashed with understanding. This person was indeed from the outside world, but he didn't know much about this starfield. It was impossible for him to come to the Swan Starfield by starship. It seemed that he must have used a special method. The red-haired young man suddenly had an idea, and remembered the magnificent golden bridge that appeared in the sky and the outsider carrying the bronze box. These two things might come from the same place. "You came through the golden bridge." "Yes," Yanqing said with a headache. This person's sense of touch was too sharp, and his identity could not be concealed at all. When Xiaobei stopped struggling, his big eyes were full of shock. He didn't expect that Brother King, who was with him, actually came on the golden bridge that shocked the entire Aurora Star. If that was the case, if Brother King hadn't come, perhaps their small group of warriors would not have been destroyed. "No, you can't think like this." When Xiaobei shook his head, although Brother King was the source, the culprit was Wei Gong. Wei Gong wanted to clear the field, so he destroyed their small group. Besides, Brother King saved him and protected everyone's corpses. He was a good man. Grandpa once taught him that a drop of water should be repaid with a spring. He couldn't repay such a great favor in time. When Xiaobei figured it out, his enemy was Wei Gong. It's true. Is it a disciple from a big family or a holy land who came out for the trial? After hundreds of years, someone finally came. The red-haired young man murmured, his eyes flashing, and threw Wen Xiaobei to the ground. "What are you doing?" Yanqing was stunned. This person actually let go. "If I fight with you, I will definitely not win. Besides, from your eyes, you are definitely not a pedantic and stubborn person." If I want to use this little guy to make you surrender, I guess you won't do it. I'm only responsible for tracking. As for the battle, leave it to others. I will report today's events in detail. Lord Weigong will come to you soon. You must be ready when the time comes. The red-haired young man kicked the ground and retreated dozens of meters. We will meet again. Your name is Yanqing. I remember this name. Wait a minute. Yanqing waved a stream of freezing air and landed on the red-haired young man, but this stream of freezing air was like a drop in the ocean, sinking into the red-haired young man's body without any effect. The freezing air of the white bad was absorbed. How is this possible? Yanqing was shocked. You know, even the Frost Saint Duan Mizuan couldn't absorb his cold air. What is the origin of this person? He is definitely not an ordinary transcendental realm warrior. When Yanqing came to his senses and wanted to chase him again, the red-haired young man had disappeared without a trace. Brother King, you're fine. It's all my fault. I caused you to leak a lot of things. When Xiaobei stood up, ran to Yanqing, and said in a trembling voice. Yanqing smiled, touched Xiaobei's head, and said softly, "It's okay. It's just that some things will be a little earlier. It doesn't matter." Yanqing pondered for a while. Next, if the red-haired young man reported to Weigong, he would have to fight with Weigong, and it would be very dangerous for Xiaobei to stay by his side. Xiaobei, find a place to hide. I can't go with you. I have to deal with some things. Brother King, do you dislike Xiaobei? When Xiaobei's face was full of disappointment. No, Xiaobei, I have to do something. It's very dangerous, so it's safer for you to hide. Yanqing explained. Brother King, Weigong wants to deal with you, right? I can't leave. I want to stay by your side, Brother King. When Xiaobei said excitedly, this is very dangerous. Yanqing hesitated. In fact, it is not safe to let Wen Xiaobei, a child of 14 or 15 years old, an ordinary person without any cultivation, be outside alone. I'm not afraid of danger. Wen Xiaobei said seriously. At worst, when the battle is about to start, I will take Xiaobei to a safe place first, and fight with Weigong for a while. Now I'm not Weigong's opponent. Yanqing made a decision silently in his heart. Okay, then go with me. But don't regret it. You will suffer a lot if you stay with me. I'm not afraid, Brother King. I will take good care of myself. Chapter 80 Enemy Attack. Boss, we have already caught up with the person who killed Ji Yuoming, but he is very strong. I'm not sure I can take him down, so I didn't do anything. The red-haired young man took out the communicator and said, which force does that guy belong to? According to my judgment, that person is an outsider, not familiar with this region, and has no power. He seems to be very dissatisfied with the action of clearing out the small group of warriors, so he killed Ji Yuoming halfway, and saved a child from the small group of warriors. Oh, so he is an outsider. No wonder, no wonder. I will handle this matter. The voice on the other end of the communicator hesitated for a while and said, Yuleng, come back. We still need you to find the golden bridge opportunity here. Okay, boss. The red-haired young man Yuleng hung up the communicator. He looked at the place where Yanqing and Wen Xiaobei left and said calmly, the best trial is given to you. It's up to you whether you can take it. After Yanqing and Wen Xiaobei left the village, they came to the City of Light on the Aurora Star. The reason why the City of Light is called the City of Light is that it is always daytime here. There is a sun hanging high in the sky all day, emitting light. All the people who stay here are warriors. Unlike the Centaur Star region, there is no such thing as a family in the Swan Star region. There are only large and small sects. People who cannot practice are under the rule of the sect and contribute to the sect. Some warriors are not recognized by the sect, so they gather together to form a small group of warriors. They wander around, hoping to get opportunities and adventures, so as to establish their own sects. Such is the case with Wen Xiaobei's small group of warriors. However, only by becoming an immortal can you establish a sect and have a place in the Swan Star region. Weigong is the leader of the Northern Xingxiu sect and one of the 10 immortals on the Aurora Star. Here you go. Yanqing bought a cotton candy from a roadside stall with 3 Samsung coins and handed it to the greedy Wen Xiaobei. Thank you, Brother King. when Xiaobei happily took it and licked it carefully with a happy expression. Xiaobei, haven't you ever eaten this kind of snack? I ate it once. When I was 10 years old, I went to the city with my grandfather to eat it. It was in another place. It was so sweet. When Xiaobei licked it again, Yanqing felt a little sad for some reason. He was so satisfied with just eating a marshmallow. How bad are the lives of the people at the bottom of the Swan Star domain? What is the ice palace that dominates this star domain doing? Blindly pursuing the combat power of warriors and ignoring ordinary people. The development of the Swan Star domain is completely deformed. Yanqing sighed. He didn't know how many times he sighed when he came here. Even if he only came to the Swan Star domain for the trial, he couldn't ignore the situation here. In this city of light, warriors are dressed in bright clothes and look high and mighty. The ordinary people around them are terrified and bow their heads to flatter the power of science and technology in this city, except for the buildings and daily necessities, has always maintained the level of the old AD era in other aspects, or even worse. Brother King, what are you thinking about? When Xiaobei asked, while licking the marshmallow. Yanqing smiled and said, what I think about are just some unrealistic things. Since it is unrealistic, why do you think about it? Because sometimes people are very dissatisfied with reality and always want to change something. No matter whether it can be done or not, only after thinking about it can they do it. Brother King, I don't understand a little bit. When Xiaobei scratched his head and said embarrassedly, haha, it's normal not to understand. Let's go and find a place to stay first. Yanqing smiled. His eyes slightly glanced at the low figure beside him, and there was a deep chill in his smile. He put one hand around Wen Xiaobei's neck and strode forward. Yanqing found the most luxurious and most secure hotel to stay in. This was for safety. Although the room fee was expensive, Yanqing had a lot of money. The Yang family transferred a lot of money to his account, and his master Yi Yang even prepared a gold card for him with tens of millions of star coins. Walking into the room, Yanqing carefully checked the room and stayed there. After finding no problems, he put down the holy clothes box and said to Wen Xiaobei, Xiaobei, I'm going out for a while. You stay here and don't open the door for anyone except me. Yanqing reminded him. The door was very thick and mixed with black iron. It was impossible to break it without the power of the second level of the transcendent realm. I know, Brother King. When Xiaobei nodded vigorously, indicating that he would definitely not open the door, Yanqing walked out of the hotel and strolled on the road while staring at the figure following behind him with his small universe. He sneered in his heart. This tracking was too unprofessional. If it was a red-haired young man before, he would be very afraid. If it was this kind of person, he would just get rid of it directly. Yanqing walked further and further away and came to a narrow road. There were weeds everywhere and no human traces. Yanqing walked forward for several hundred meters before stopping, turning around and looking at the person chasing behind him. You are someone sent by Wei Gong. You seem very confident. You dared to follow me after I found you. An ugly dwarf appeared in front of Yanqing. He looked at Yanqing and smiled, as if he was not surprised at all that Yanqing found him. Why not? I was worried that I couldn't find a suitable opportunity to kill you, but I didn't expect that you took the initiative to give me the opportunity. I can kill a waste like Ji Yuoming, who is at the first level of the transcendent realm, with one hand. The same is true for you. The dwarf licked his lips. His eyes were full of bloodthirsty looks, and a momentum was revealed on his body, as if he had the cultivation level of the second level of the transcendent realm. Yanqing's mouth opened in arc, and the microcosm fused the energy and mental power, and the function was equivalent to the galaxy, but in the eyes of outsiders, he had no star core, and his strength was only at the first level of the transcendent realm. Ashura battle blade. The dwarf pulled out a long sword from his waist. The blade flashed with a strange bloodlight, which made people confused and lost their minds. This was a demon sword. Magical weapons are divided into ordinary weapons, immortal treasures, sacred objects, and imperial weapons. For most practitioners, the body is the best magic weapon, and generally they rarely use real magic weapons. But this does not mean that the magic weapon is weak. On the contrary, the magic weapon is very strong. The combat power of practitioners holding magic weapons is usually stronger than that of warriors of the same level. Cut the blood moon. The dwarf moved, as erratic as a ghost. A bloodlight fell, accompanied by countless howling sounds, which was breathtaking. There must be many dead souls under this knife. Yanqing's mind was a little uncertain. This knife was powerful and could shake his mind, but it could only reach this extent. Behind Yanqing, a fire phoenix flew out. The phoenix screamed in the sky, and the flames kept rising, as if to burn everything and burn everything. Chapter 81, Deadly Field. Kai. The strange blood-like blade light evaporated in an instant under the burning of the phoenix fire. The dwarf was shocked. This foreigner practiced a fire-attributed technique, which had a restraining effect on him. However, the first level of the Transcendent Realm faced the second level of the Transcendent Realm. Even if it was restraint, it was counter-restraint. The demon sword slashed horizontally, and the UN energy was vast. The fluttering blade light pierced through the void, and shattered the space. The undead on the sword howled, and the wild grass here suddenly lost its green color, and turned yellow, and lost its vitality. Boom. Yanqing's eyes were slightly cold. This demon sword was very scary. It absorbed the vitality of external objects, and used it for its own benefit. If others encountered it, they might have a headache, but facing him, this dwarf was looking for death. Nine Yang Fist. Yanqing's fist covered the four directions, and two big suns with the sun's golden flame fell together. After the bloodlight on the demon sword touched the sun's golden flame, it melted directly, and the undead also disappeared, revealing the black blade. Yanqing's eyes flashed, and he raised all his energy, showing his second level of transcendental cultivation. He punched out like a raging wave, thundering 9 times, and hit the blade heavily. Crack. The dwarf flew out horizontally, and the demon sword in his hand broke into 2 pieces. He showed a shocked expression. The power displayed by Yanqing at this moment was not inferior to him at all, and even stronger than him. Swish. Yanqing disappeared in an instant. He did not give the dwarf any chance to react. He fell with another palm, aiming at the dwarf's head, and directly blew his head. Blood burst out, and white brains flowed out. The dwarf's body trembled a few times and stopped moving. Without a head, no one could survive, unless they were immortals or above. He was too careless. Before he could use his full strength, he was killed by Yanqing. Hoo. Yanqing panted, and the energy in his body was a little unsmooth. Just now, he suddenly burst out, and used his full strength, and his meridians were a little painful. Fortunately, the enemy was killed, so this result was not bad. Yanqing turned around, and was about to leave, when suddenly a cold light came from behind him. Ping. Yanqing leaned back, holding the cold light tightly with one hand, and looked closely. It turned out to be a flying knife, and the aura of this flying knife was very familiar to Yanqing. You are not dead. Yanqing was shocked. The dwarf he killed actually appeared alive again, staring at him viciously. I didn't expect you to be a second level cultivator. I was careless. As for death, I won't die. The dwarf wiped the blood on his body and said. The dwarf's head was intact, and seemed to be uninjured, but the brain matter that Yanqing hid was still on the ground. Even if you are resurrected, I will kill you again. Yanqing was about to take action, but his body suddenly became weak, and he could not mobilize his energy. It seemed that he was hit by something. This is poison. Yanqing's eyes fell on the flying knife in his hand, and a trace of blood flowed down. The color of the blood was black. When he caught the flying knife, his hand was scratched by it. He didn't care, but he didn't expect that the flying knife was quenched with poison. Yanqing's body burst into flames, and the sun shone brightly. However, even if the sun's light can restore cell activity, it can't stop the spread of poison, and the poison even spreads faster. Yanqing frowned. He was really careful, but he didn't expect that this dwarf could be resurrected, and he also smeared poison on the flying knife. These practitioners who have been tempered in life and death are really difficult to deal with. Outlander, don't struggle. You can't get rid of this poison. You killed me once, and next time you will let me kill you obediently. The dwarf laughed. The dwarf's eyes were filled with enchanting red. He took out a golden whip about 2 meters long from his waist, and swung it in the air. Whoosh. The whip directly collapsed the void, and the sinister dwarf shook off another whip. He whipped Yanqing, who couldn't move. Snap. A deep blood mark was left on Yanqing's body. The dwarf showed a bloodthirsty look, with a tyrannical look in his eyes, and gnashed his teeth and said, "You have taken away my life just like that. I will torture you." Golden snake dance. The golden whip trembled, as if countless golden snakes were dancing, and the surging energy overturned the space, making it hit Yanqing like a big wave. Die. The dwarf laughed grimly, but the next change was beyond the dwarf's expectations. Boom. A frost tornado appeared, and the shining ice crystals were like stardust, freezing the space piece by piece. In the vast cold fog, Yanqing's mental power locked the movement of the whip, and in the countless whip shadows, he grabbed the main body, and the ice crystals spread, freezing the whip to pieces. What? This outsider can still move. And this cold air is surging. Is it an ice attribute technique? Although the dwarf couldn't see the state clearly, the whip in his hand broke into pieces, and he knew the situation from this. The mist dispersed, revealing Yanqing's current appearance. One of his arms and part of his body were frozen, which was to slow down the spread of the poison in the blood. The dwarf gritted his teeth. Ice and fire were practiced together. It was really difficult to deal with. Death field. He finally launched his most powerful method field. The sky was full of blood, and the power of the demon was revealed. All the creatures here were sucked out of their life essence, and turned into a ball of ash. Death. The dwarf shouted, and countless blood rays rushed towards Yanqing, trying to seize Yanqing's life essence and turn Yanqing into a dry skeleton. Yanqing looked serious. He could feel that this life-taking technique was very terrifying. The dwarf's resurrection was definitely related to it. A large amount of life essence was taken away. Yanqing knew that once he was entangled by these blood rays, he would end up like the creatures here. He was in a very bad state now. Although he used freezing air to prevent the spread of the poison, his head was dizzy and his limbs were not sensitive. He had to use all his strength to solve it quickly. Aurora lightning strike. Yanqing stretched out his hands and held them together. A cold air blew out, and a white bird flew out. However, what Yanqing didn't expect was that the freezing air couldn't delay this bloodlight. One force can defeat 10 skills. The mountain holding seal. Yanqing raised his hand and blasted a mountain, but the mountain couldn't stop it at all, and was directly penetrated. How could this be possible? Yanqing was shocked. Could it be that this bloodlight involved the law, so it was not blocked by the ice? But how can a mere mortal possess the power of the law of the immortal? Don't struggle. Go to hell. The dwarf laughed wildly. Yanqing's small universe was running wildly, and his energy was boiling. He would not sit still and wait for death. At this point, Yanqing also realized that he was arrogant. It seems that he will have to understand the characteristics of the Swan Star region in the future. Now is not a dead end. In any case, no matter how strong this bloodlight is, no matter how penetrating it is, it cannot penetrate the mystery of the Virgo, Akala. Yanqing formed seals with his hands and chanted ancient Sanskrit. The figure of the Buddha appeared behind Yanqing. An invisible defense wall was formed. It was plain and simple, but it had extremely powerful defense. Boom. The collision broke out. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 82, Phoenix Wings Soar into the Sky. Boom. Yanqing opened his eyes to the limit, and the Buddha transformed into the posture of Akalanatha, showing a furious appearance, focusing on eliminating evil and cultivating good, and making all actions punish sins. After a fierce stalemate, the defensive wall formed by the mystery returned to motionless, but the endless bloodlight was directly consumed, and there was no trace that could threaten Yanqing. Impossible. A look of disbelief flashed across the dwarf's face. Even Lord Wei Gong did not solve the bloodlight so easily. What is the origin of this outsider? The bloodlight in his deadly field is melted by the corpse of the saint after sitting and passing away. Even if the immortals face it, they will be seriously injured and lose most of their life essence. Because of this move, he is famous on the Aurora Star and has been recognized by the immortals. The dwarf looked gloomy. As one of the 3 most capable commanders under Wei Gong, if other Transcendent Realm warriors were not busy, he would not come in person this time. He thought it would be an easy kill, but he didn't expect that this enemy was so powerful that he couldn't kill him, even after trying every possible means. If this person hadn't expected him to be resurrected, and he hadn't been tricked by him, he would have been in danger of life and death. The dwarf was terrified. This enemy was terrible. No wonder Yulang didn't dare to take action. However, since they had already formed a feud, this person also adopted a child from a small group of warriors. In the future, he would definitely be an enemy of their Xingxiao sect. Now he must be killed while he is injured and poisoned. The dwarf's eyes were murderous, and the life-taking domain reappeared. Above his head, a blood knife condensed. Time is like a heavenly knife. Cut off life. Life is limited. Cutting off life is not only to cut off the enemy's life essence, but also to cut off the enemy's life source, that is, lifespan. The dwarf's practice method is terrible, and can cut off a person's lifespan. Clang. The heavenly sword slowly fell, and the breath it exuded shook the heavens. This was also the breath of the law surging. Yanqing's mind was not very clear at this time, and it was difficult to concentrate his mental power. He half squatted on the ground, and the microcosm consumed by resisting the blood light was very large. Feeling the reappearance of the dwarf's domain and the heavenly sword, Yanqing felt the threat of death. He only had 3 years to live. Once he was cut, he would definitely die directly. His mind was turning with difficulty. There were not many moves that could resist this heavenly sword. The secret of the white bat took a long time to charge, and the secret of the Pegasus was very scattered. Unless he could comprehend the Comet Fist, it was a pity that Yanqing could not do it now. As for the Sun Sutra, the Mountain Embrace Seal, and the 9-character mantra, they were not very proficient, far less than the Saint Seiya's moves. Now the only one that can be used is the Phoenix. The mental power cannot be concentrated, and the Phoenix magic fist cannot be used. Then he can only rely on the Phoenix secret of spreading wings. Phoenix wings sky soaring. Yanqing stood up suddenly, the ice crystals on his body shattered, and a flame that burned everything emerged, burning like magma. The poison spread rapidly again. If he didn't hurry, he might not be able to hold on. He had to get rid of his opponent in this move. There was no time to hesitate or delay. He had to bet everything. Phoenix wings soared. Yanqing rose to the sky, opened his arms and waved them. A fire phoenix emerged behind him, and overlapped with Yanqing. They spread their wings together. A huge fist pressure began to erupt. The mighty gale rubbed out the phoenix flame, which swept out, and hit the blood-colored sky knife. This was the strongest fist of fire. Boom. The great sun phoenix Dharma, plus the phoenix constellation phantom, turned the burning flame into a dark blue. Anything would be vaporized under this flame, and the blood-colored sky knife was the same. Wisps of blood were evaporated, and directly defeated by the flame. Yanqing continued to hit the powerful airflow like the wings of a phoenix, and the phoenix flame fell on the dwarf's deadly domain. Ah! The dwarf screamed, his face full of fear. His domain was completely melted, and then he himself. As the flames rolled, the dwarf was burned to ashes in the flames. No, not even ashes were left, and he turned directly into atoms. Yanqing was shocked. This was the first time he really used the Phoenix's moves to fight the enemy. The power was really terrifying, and it was definitely not inferior to the full strength attack of the immortal. The power of Fengyue Xiangxiang is not only the flame, but also the strong wind and the pressure of the fist. The fist of fire fell to the ground, creating a deep pit of dozens of meters. Under this blow, the earth shook violently, like an earthquake, shaking the entire city of light. This should be the end. Yanqing just thought so, and suddenly a red light flashed at the place where the dwarf died, and a living dwarf appeared again. Yanqing was helpless at this time. The dwarf was resurrected with full blood on the spot. His recovery ability was even more amazing than his, and it was extremely terrifying. Yanqing felt powerless. He really had exhausted all his strength at this time. But he still looked at the dwarf calmly, and the remaining energy in his body was released, shocking the dwarf, making it impossible for him to see the truth. At this moment, dozens of spiritual lights broke through the void, and flew from the center of the city. Damn. The dwarf's eyes narrowed. This was the guardian of the city of light. The attack just now must have alarmed the guardian of the City of Light. If it was not a big battle, the City of Light would generally not care, but if it was a battle like this, the guardians would definitely punish the people who fought. Being discovered would bring trouble to Lord Weigong. The dwarf looked at Yanqing, who was still in a defensive state at this time, and gritted his teeth. Forget it, there will be plenty of opportunities in the future. He threw out a mortal weapon, looked at Yanqing fiercely, rode on it, turned into a white light, and disappeared into the sky. Yanqing felt relieved after watching the dwarf leave. The fatigue of his body and the dizziness in his brain made him fall down. Looking at the dozens of spiritual lights approaching quickly, Yanqing smiled bitterly. He really couldn't move now. The poison on the flying knife spread rapidly without the frostbite and invaded his whole body. Yanqing's head became more and more dizzy, and he finally lost consciousness. With a thud, he fell to the ground. The last thing he saw was a group of warriors in armor who had landed here with murderous intent. I still lack combat experience. Zio Bay. Yanqing's consciousness sank into endless darkness. Ugh, my head hurts. Yanqing was shaking. He felt that his body was very heavy, as if he was carrying something, and seemed to be locked. He slowly opened his eyes, and the light entered his eyes. The scenery shook for a while, and then became clear. This was a dark room, like a prison cell. It was very quiet. It seemed that there was no one except him. Yanqing slowly got up. There were indeed locks tied to his body, but not many. Only his hands and feet were locked. Where am I? Yanqing whispered. A heavy sound of opening a door came from a distance, which made Yanqing move. Thank you for the reward from 13th sister. Can the pig fly or not? And long live the honest man. Chapter 83, City of Light. Young master, the man who was fighting in the city is here. A deep middle-aged man's voice sounded. Well, lock him up in the cell. Aren't we going to save him? The childish voice echoed in the empty prison. This man is a visitor from the outside world. Even if we want to employ him, it is better to lock him up before we figure out his intentions. Another voice sounded, and the voice seemed a little old, probably an elderly person. Yanqing listened to the conversation of the three people, his face thoughtful. It seemed that the worst case scenario he thought of did not happen. As the footsteps approached, Yanqing moved quietly and lay back quietly, pretending to be unconscious. He had to hear more. The three walked to the door of his room, took out the key, and creaked to open the door of the cell. A ray of light shone on Yanqing's face, causing the great sun armor in Yanqing's body to revive slightly, and the UN energy began to surge. His small universe could sense that there were three people in the cell, a middle-aged warrior, an old man, and a young man in gorgeous clothes. Hasn't he woken up yet? The poison in this guy has been removed by Miss Qin Ziyang, so he should wake up, the young man said with doubt. Young master, Miss Qin Ziyang used the asterisk incense to remove the poison from this man, which can make him sleep for 12 hours. Now it has only been 10 hours. It is normal that he has not woken up. Young master, you must show your sincerity and wait for 2 hours to try your best to make use of him, the old man said. Speaking of which, this guy's really strong. According to the restoration map of the battle situation, Zhu Chao, one of the three main generals in the Wei Gong, was killed twice. If this guy hadn't expected Zhu Chao to be resurrected and was poisoned and killed Zhu Chao again, maybe Zhu Chao would die here, reducing a huge threat for us, the middle-aged man said. Yanqing suddenly understood in his heart at this time that the dwarf would have to be killed 3 times before he died. It's no wonder that he dared to approach him so boldly after using the asterisk incense, but the small universe seems to be very resistant to this thing, which made him wake up in advance and hear a lot of useful information. And this City of Light removed the poison for him and saved his life. Is it to recruit him? Yanqing listened carefully, and his body completely simulated the breath of a sleeping person under the rotation of the microcosm, deceiving the three people. It is precisely because he is powerful and hostile to Wei Gong that we need this person, but it is difficult to make him listen to us. Even if we save his life, he may not listen to our light city, the old man thought. Young master, don't worry. I sent people to find out all the activities of this foreigner here. He also lives in Bokingte Hotel with a child. The child is the only survivor of an unknown warrior group. In order to save the child, he did not hesitate to oppose Wei Gong. If we have the child in our hands, we are not afraid that he will not surrender," the middle-aged man said. Hearing this, Yanqing's energy surged violently, and murderous aura broke out. He could not pretend to sleep. It doesn't matter if they want to plot against him. They saved him and saved his life. But he hated the coercive means of involving Zodiac. Yanqing suddenly jumped up. When the three people were stunned and unable to react, he accurately grabbed the neck of the young man in gorgeous clothes and squeezed it tightly. At the same time, he swung his right hand and hit the young man's chest, breaking up the young man's energy and making him unable to resist. Yanqing knew very well that among the three people, the man called the young master was the most important. As long as he was caught, he would have a bargaining chip. Help. The young man in gorgeous clothes struggled and pulled Yanqing's powerful big hand. He had difficulty breathing. The two servants were stunned. They didn't expect Yanqing to wake up all of a sudden and control the young master. Yanqing's shackles rustled. He looked at the two men with a gloomy face and murderous eyes. "We saved you, and this is how you treat our young master. You ungrateful person, why don't you let the young master go quickly?" the middle-aged man shouted. "You saved me, but you just want to use me." Yanqing snorted coldly. Although he was very tired, and his energy had not recovered much, he could still crush the young man to death before the two men rescued him. The old man's eyes flashed, and he figured out all the joints in an instant. It must be that the outsider heard their conversation just now and caused a misunderstanding. "Don't be impulsive. Let's talk properly. You can also hear that we just need you. As for that child, we are afraid that you will not cooperate with us properly, so we have to use the last resort. We cured your poison and saved your life. We just want to recruit you, an outsider." The old man stopped the middle-aged man who was about to step forward and said slowly. Yanqing was silent. What this man said was very right, but the means were very fierce. "Don't use such a mean means. You saved me, and I will repay you. Give me the key to the shackles, and then retreat 10 meters. Otherwise your young master's life will be in danger," Yanqing said coldly. The middle-aged man and the old man looked at each other, and there was some helplessness in each other's eyes. The young master fell into his hands, and now he could only listen to him. The two retreated as he said, and the middle-aged man threw the key over. At this time, the middle-aged man regretted it very much. If he had known earlier, he would have replaced the old prison and shackles with a new high-tech system prison and torture instruments. Snap. The key traced a parabolic trajectory, and Yanqing grabbed it accurately with one hand without any mistakes, which made the two people who were ready to attack feel a pity. "Everyone, get out of here. Leave this room. I'm worried about you staying here." Yanqing tightened his left hand slightly, and the young man in gorgeous clothes made a loud sound in his throat, which made the two people afraid, and left the cell. "Don't hurt the young master, otherwise you will never get out of here." The old man said the last sentence, warning Yanqing. Hula Yanqing untied the heavy shackles on his body with one hand, and his whole body suddenly felt relaxed. He opened his mouth and inhaled, and the surging energy rushed in from the surroundings, filling his meridians. With the rapid recovery of the small universe, Yanqing recovered his strength after a few minutes. But even so, Yanqing did not dare to let go of the young man in gorgeous clothes. This was a prison, and there were many defenders of the City of Light around. He could never get through by himself. Yanqing pondered for a while. If this continued, the two men would definitely attack Zodiac and use Zodiac to threaten him. Now this stalemate must be changed, otherwise, Zodiac would be in danger. Yanqing looked at the young master they were talking about. This must be the young master of the City of Light. He loosened his hand and let the young man in fancy clothes go. The young man in fancy clothes looked at Yanqing in confusion and fear. He didn't understand why Yanqing let him go. Yanqing smiled slightly and said to the frightened young man in fancy clothes, "Don't worry, I won't kill you. What's your name?" "I'm sorry to tell you all a bad news. There is only one update today. 12 had a high fever today, vomiting and diarrhea, and went to the toilet 7 or 8 times. I couldn't concentrate, and it took me 5 hours to finish this chapter. I'm really exhausted and have a chill all over my body. Let me take a nap and recuperate. I will be free all day tomorrow. Even if I have a high fever, I can still make up for it with time. Please rest assured that I'm a man of integrity." 12. I will never do something that I hate and feel deeply sorry for. Finally, I would like to thank Sunny Day, Sister 13, and Sunny Day for their awards. Congratulations to Sunny Day for becoming the first helmsman of this book. 12 Thanks you very much, and I hope you will continue to support me in the future. Chapter 84, The Crisis Facing the City of Light. My name is Yanqing, and I'm the young master of the City of Light. The young man in gorgeous clothes trembled. Yanqing, that's a good name. My name is Yanqing. I heard from the conversation just now that you and Wei Gong are hostile. I'm also Wei Gong's enemy. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. You don't have to worry, relax. I arrested you because I had no choice. Yanqing comforted Yanqing. At this time, many footsteps were heard outside the cell, and there was a surge of energy. Yanqing knew that it was the two people who went to call the warriors of the City of Light and surrounded this place. Outsider, it's not good for you to continue to stalemate like this. Let go of the young master. We promise to let you go. The old man's steady voice came. Outsider, let go of the young master. If you hurt the young master in the slightest, I will go and kill the children of that small group of warriors. The middle-aged man shouted. Yanqing frowned, suppressed the killing intent in his heart, and said, I have no intention of being an enemy of you. We can be friends. As for letting your young master go, I will only let go if I'm guaranteed to be safe. What exactly do you want to do? Asked the old man outside. Yanqing did not answer, but turned his head and said to Yanqing, Yanqing, you saved me. I can work for your City of Light. Yanqing thought for a while and decided that it might be a good idea to join the City of Light. If he forced Yanqing to go out directly from here, he would be regarded as an enemy by the City of Light. With a big enemy like Wei Gong in the City of Light, this trial would probably fail from the beginning. After arriving in the Swan Star region, he fought 3 battles in total and lost the last 2 times. The red-haired young man and the dwarf Zhu Chao's skills were extremely strange, which made him exhausted. The warriors outside were much more powerful than he thought. If he was not careful, he might fall again. In this case, joining the City of Light and fighting Wei Gong together was a good strategy. Really? Yanqing said in surprise. Well, but the premise is to tell me why you need me. You are so anxious. Something must have happened in the city. Young master, don't listen to him. This is a secret, and outsiders must not know. The middle-aged man shouted. People outside shut up. Are you the young master, or is Yanqing the young master? Come on, Yanqing, as long as you tell me the reason, although I will not be loyal to you, I will definitely help you deal with Wei Gong. The future of the City of Light depends on you. Yanqing seduced him. Yanqing clenched his fists. He felt that this person would not lie to him. He made up his mind and told the changes in the City of Light regardless of the middle-aged man's shouting. It turned out that 3 years ago, the city lord of the City of Light, the immortal Yanqing, accidentally went into a devil when he broke through to the Saint realm, and the Yuan gang backfired, causing his cultivation to be completely destroyed and dying. After explaining all the affairs, he finally couldn't make it and passed away. The City of Light is one of the most powerful forces on the Aurora Star, and has always been feared by people. However, after Yanqing passed away, the City of Light became a coveted piece of fat meat without the immortals. For 3 years, the City of Light blocked this news, and announced to the outside world that the City Lord was in seclusion for cultivation. However, this is not a long-term solution. Now, many forces have suspected that something is wrong with Yanqing, and have used means in secret to frequently provoke the City of Light. Among them, the forces of Wei Gong, the closest to the City of Light, have been the most aggressive in provoking the City of Light, and have become the primary enemy of the City of Light. Although everyone in the City of Light wants to break through to the Immortal Realm, it is a pity that the Immortal Realm is not so easy to break through. No one has done it in 3 years. Therefore, the City of Light is now urgently recruiting foreign aid to deal with Wei Gong, and Yanqing is one of the candidates. He can fight against the 3 main generals and the Wei Gong, and Yanqing's strength has been recognized by the City of Light. In order to save Yanqing, the City of Light also removed the poison for him. Yanqing tapped the edge of the cell bed with his fingers, thinking, if what Yanqing said is true, then the crisis of Light City is indeed great. To be honest, he and Xiaobei have no fixed place to live. It would be good if they can take root in Light City. There are common enemies to face, and this is also the first task he has to complete on the road of trial. After Yanqing figured it out, he said, I promise to help you deal with Wei Gong. But we must first conclude a contract, so that it can be trusted. Conclude a contract? Yang Nan asked in confusion. Yanqing nodded and shouted to the outside, Light City should have a fairy contract. Bring the fairy contract here. I'm willing to conclude a contract with your young master, and deal with Wei Gong together. Fairy contract? Are you sure you want to use that kind of thing? The old man was surprised. The fairy contract is a contract made by the fairies using the power of the law on special paper. As long as the two parties sign a contract, they must abide by the contents of the contract. It has an irresistible effect on those below the immortal realm. Of course, if you don't use the immortal contract, you won't trust me. As long as you establish the immortal contract, I will be your ally and will release your young master to deal with Wei Gong as you wish. Yanqing said. Bring the immortal contract. The old man thought for a while and found nothing wrong, so he ordered the people around him. Soon, a golden scroll full of mysterious and vast atmosphere was sent to the cell. Yi Yang taught Yanqing how to use the immortal contract. Yanqing bit his finger, dripped blood on it, and wrote a paragraph. I'm willing to do my best to deal with Wei Gong for the City of Light, and I will never stop until I die. But the City of Light cannot use coercive means to drive me, threaten me, and I should maintain my personal freedom. Yang Nan, you write it too. Yanqing said. I have to bite my finger too? It hurts. Yang Nan said in a trembling voice. Yanqing shook his head. This young master was too cowardly. He waved his hand lightly, and a sharp blade broke through the air. Hiss. A wound appeared on Yang Nan's finger, and blood flowed. Ah, it's bleeding. Yang Nan screamed, looking very panicked. Write it quickly, or I'll cut your finger again. Yanqing threatened. Okay, I'll write it right away. Outlander, what did you do to the young master? If anything happens to the young master, he will definitely not let you go. The middle-aged man was furious. Shut up, old man. Tell us what your young master is going to write. I understand. The old man told Yang Nan the text of the contract he wanted, and Yang Nan also wrote a paragraph on the golden scroll. Light City will not impose any coercive measures on Yanqing for any reason, nor will it threaten his close ones, but Yanqing must help Light City deal with Wei Gong until Light City resolves the crisis. After the two wrote the contract, the golden paper turned into two balls of light and shot into the bodies of the two. Yanqing suddenly felt a sense of restraint in his heart. This must be the effect of the immortal contract. If it is violated, death is inevitable. That's all. Yanqing walked out of the cell with Yang Nan, looked at the densely packed warriors outside the door, and said calmly, from now on, I will be an ally of Light City, and I hope everyone will give me more advice. Chapter 85, The Lord's Palace. Brother King, you're back. I thought something happened to you. When Xiaobei rushed over to Yanqing, as soon as he saw him, crying. He had been in the Bokingte Hotel for more than 10 hours in fear and didn't eat. Xiaobei, it's okay. I'm back. Are you hungry? I'll take you downstairs to eat. Yanqing touched Wen Xiaobei's head and smiled gently. Wen Xiaobei walked out of the room happily, and suddenly saw two warriors in armor standing outside the door with solemn expressions. Wen Xiaobei screamed in fear and quickly hid behind Yanqing. Xiaobei, these are my friends, the warriors of the City of Light. Don't worry, they won't do anything bad to you. When Xiaobei said, as if he understood something. He grabbed Yanqing's clothes and didn't dare to let go. He was still very cautious. You two move the luggage here to the city lord's mansion. Go there to find the general manager and ask him to arrange a place to stay. Yanqing instructed the two warriors. Yes, Lord Yan. The two warriors saluted. Yanqing carried the bronze holy cloth box on his back and brought Wen Xiaobei downstairs to let Wen Xiaobei have a full meal. Watching Wen Xiaobei eating, Yanqing relaxed and smiled faintly. Brother King, why did those two warriors call you Lord? Wen Xiaobei threw out the doubts in his heart. That's because I have formed an alliance with the City of Light. I'm an ally of the City of Light. Awesome. Wen Xiaobei exclaimed. We will stay in the city lord's mansion later. It's not safe here. Yanqing said softly. He could sense that there were several eyes in the hotel watching him and Xiao Bei. As a prosperous city, the City of Light is full of good and bad people. It is normal for Weigong to have people. Although there are guards, it is still very dangerous to stay outside. Entering the City Lord's mansion is the best choice. Okay, I got it, Brother King. After finishing the meal, Yanqing brought Wen Xiaobei to the City Lord's mansion. Along the way, Yanqing walked with the bronze holy clothes box on his back, attracting the attention of many people. Yanqing listened to the neighing of Pegasus in the holy clothes box. He felt very sorry for the holy clothes. Many times he fought alone without wearing the holy clothes. Little did he know that, only after putting on the holy clothes could he reach the strongest state and become a true saint sire. Pegasus, next time I will definitely fight with you. You are also my strength. Yanqing murmured in his heart. Arriving at the City Lord's mansion, Yanqing and Wen Xiaobei came to their residence under the guidance of the servants. This is a large courtyard, hundreds of square meters. There are 2 lush trees planted in the yard. When the wind blows, there is a rustling sound, and a peaceful atmosphere permeates here. Xiaobei, this will be your home from now on. Home? When Xiaobei's eyes turned red. He had always been homeless and wandering around. Home was a dream for him. Now he finally had his own home. Unfortunately, his grandfather and the others could not see it. Xiaobei, tidy up the room. The home needs to be carefully taken care of. I'm going out for a while. When I come back, please tidy up the house. Okay, I understand, Brother King. When Xiaobei wiped away his tears and ran into the house, Yanqing's smile faded. He left the courtyard and walked towards the core of the City Lord's mansion, Yuhailan, where the young master of the City of Light, Yanqing, stayed. After forming an alliance with the City of Light, Yanqing quickly got to know the important figures of the City of Light. The middle-aged man Mengbing was Yang Nian's bodyguard, responsible for protecting Yang Nian's safety. The old man Zulang was the chief steward of the City of Light, handling various political affairs of the City of Light for the young Yang Nian. In addition, there are also the leaders of the Guardians of the City of Light, Helian Shentang and others, who are also familiar to Yanqing. Although they are very dissatisfied with Yanqing's holding Yang Nian hostage, they all welcome the arrival of such a high-end combat force. Everyone gathered in Yuhailan to discuss the important matters of the City of Light. Unfortunately, I have to tell you a bad news. The spies we sent out found that Weigong is going to attack our City of Light. What? Isn't he looking for the Golden Bridge inheritance? For that unknown inheritance, he even went to the extent of clearing the field and causing friction with many immortals. Why does he have time to deal with us? I don't want to believe it, but it is true. The act of looking for the Golden Bridge inheritance is just a smocker screen. As for Weigong's fierce behavior, it should be to make people more convinced that he is looking for the inheritance. From the flow of personnel and the dispatch of materials of the Xingxiu sect, their target is indeed our City of Light. How is it possible? There are no immortals in our city. If Weigong comes, our City of Light will definitely be destroyed. Someone murmured, losing confidence. Why don't we just surrender? One person just said this and was immediately slapped to the ground by a Mongolian soldier. He disturbed people's hearts. Drag him down and put him in prison. The Mongolian soldier said sternly. No, Lord Meng, I was wrong. Yanqing watched the conversation of the crowd and deeply realized the severity of the situation. Weigong wanted to attack the City of Light, and the people in the City of Light were panicked. After all, the threat of the immortals was too great, and it was not something that the transcendent realm could resist. Even if he had the means to threaten the immortals, if he confronted head-on, he would be killed by the immortals in a few moves. Yanqing, you are here. The old man Zulang was refreshed and said. Yanqing's joining was definitely a boost. There were only 2 people in the city who could fight against the 3 main generals. One was a Mongolian soldier and the other was Helian Shentang. After Yanqing came, it was a 3-2-3 tie. Compared with the Xingxiu sect, the only thing that the City of Light lacked was the immortals. Yanqing, this is an important place. Who let you in? The Mongolian soldier shouted. Yanqing kidnapped Yang Nian right under his nose. As Yang Nian's bodyguard, he lost face. So he was hostile to Yanqing. Mengbing, when I came here, the young master didn't say anything. Why do you have to interrupt? Yanqing said coldly. You. Mengbing was furious. Mengbing, restrain yourself a little. Don't put your personal emotions on official business. At this time, you are still fighting among yourself. Zulang scolded. Yes, old Zhu. Mengbing shut up unwillingly. He was raised by Zulang since he was a child, and he always respected Zhu language. Old Zhu, the situation seems to be very bad now. Yanqing said. Yes, it is indeed not optimistic. By the way, Yanqing, you are from the outside world and you are knowledgeable. Do you have any way to protect the City of Light from being invaded? Zulang said hopefully. I'm sorry, old Zhu, although I'm from the outside world, I don't have any good way. As you said, the war between the Xingxiao sect and the City of Light is inevitable. Yanqing shook his head. However, I may have some ideas for dealing with the immortal Wei Gong. Yanqing's words cheered up Zhu language. After midnight of the third update, those who are waiting for updates should stop waiting and have a good sleep. Chapter 86, A Beauty Not Belonging to the Human World. Yanqing, do you really have a way? Zulang asked. HMPH, stop bragging. How can a mere transcendent realm deal with an immortal? Mengbing said disdainfully. It's up to you, whether you believe it or not. I'm not talking to you. Yanqing didn't even look at Mengbing. His words choked Mengbing to death. Old Zhu, there is indeed a way. I have several methods that can threaten the saint, but I need someone to cooperate, otherwise it won't work. What methods? Please excuse me for a moment. Yanqing glanced at the crowd. Many people were hostile to him. He didn't trust the people here. Okay. Zulang pondered. Although the people in Yuhuan were trustworthy and were Yangshan's direct descendants, they were in a panic. Someone wanted to surrender just now. At this time, some people here were also untrustworthy. Yanqing and Zulang came to a secret room. Zulang said, Yanqing, what do you have in mind? Tell me. I have a secret that can severely injure the immortal's mind, but after controlling the immortal, I need you to work together to get rid of Wei Gong as soon as possible. Yanqing said. In fact, he also has ice crystals, which can threaten immortals, but it is better to keep it as a secret weapon and use it when there is really no other way. Is there a secret that can injure immortals in the transcendent realm? Zulang said in disbelief. Old Zhu, since we are allies, then I can tell you that I come from a big force and come here to experience. This move comes from my master, a saint. Yanqing coughed. In order to gain Zulang's trust, he had to pull Yi Yang's tiger skin. This is a space ring, which can only be made by a saint. Yanqing showed the ring on his hand to Zhu language. Zulang had some faith at this time. He looked at Yanqing with amazement. He could not believe that they had saved a disciple from a powerful force. What luck they had. Zulang was relieved when he thought about it. Only disciples from powerful forces had many powerful means. What kind of mystery is that? Is it safe? Zulang was still worried. Yanqing smiled, but did not answer. He stretched out a hand, and the light condensed. A ray of light sank into Zulang's brow. No matter how much you say, it is better to experience it yourself. The Phoenix magic fist is a fist that even saints on defense will be hit. How can an immortal avoid it? Half an hour later, Zulang, who was awakened by Yanqing and pale, walked out of the secret room. He was really convinced by what Yanqing said at this moment. The mystery was too terrible. It made people face the darkest place in their hearts and feel the greatest fear. If he had not been awakened by Yanqing, he would probably have a mental breakdown. Then just as you said, we will definitely cooperate with you to the fullest when dealing with Wei Gong. But Mr. Zhu, don't tell anyone about this for the time being. The fewer people know, the better. I understand. Zulang could finally breathe a sigh of relief at this time. Although they didn't have immortals, they also had ways to deal with immortals, and the pressure could be greatly reduced. By the way, where is the person named Qin Xiang who saved me? I want to thank her. Yanqing remembered this very important thing. His life was saved by this person. No matter what the purpose was, he had to express his gratitude. Miss Qin Xiang? Zulang hesitated, but looking at the sincere Yanqing, he still told her the address. Looking at Yanqing's back slowly leaving, Zulang sighed. Miss Qin Xiang had a peerless face and temperament. It was not enough to describe her as beautiful as a fish sinking, and a wild goose falling, and a moon hiding, and a flower humiliating. Everyone who had seen her, whether men or women, would be fascinated and lose their appetite. I hope Yanqing would not indulge in it. Yanqing took a few turns and followed the route Zulang said and came to the yard where Qin Xiang lived. The city lord's mansion is a structure of one room inside another, and each courtyard is independent. If you don't actually go into a courtyard, you can't see the scenery in the courtyard. As soon as Yanqing stepped into the door, the scene in front of him made him a little surprised. Has he returned to ancient times? The courtyard is very simple, with only a medicinal field and a small house. Various dried medicinal materials are neatly placed under the eaves, and the house is decorated in an antique style. Miss Qin Xiang, I'm here to express my gratitude. I hope you don't mind my sudden visit, Yanqing said loudly. But to Yanqing's disappointment, there was no response, but a dull sound came from the back of the house. Bang, bang, bang. Yanqing followed the sound and went around the house. He saw a slim woman with her back to him, bending down, pounding medicine with great concentration. This woman must be Qin Xiang. Yanqing waited silently, watching Qin Xiang pounding the medicine. He didn't feel tired at all. Instead, he felt a faint sense of relaxation in his heart. When a person concentrates on doing one thing, her patience may also be passed on to the people around her. After more than an hour, Qin Xiang finally finished pounding the medicine. She turned around and was about to put the herbs under the eaves, but suddenly saw Yanqing. She was startled, and the pounding pot and the herbs inside fell from her hands. Whoosh! Yanqing moved, stepped forward quickly, and caught the pounding pot steadily. Miss Qin Xiang, you're okay. Yanqing handed the pounding pot to Qin Xiang, but stopped halfway through his words, because he saw the beauty that shouldn't exist in the world. Fengling is beautiful, Luozi is also beautiful. These two are both peerless beauties. There are not many beauties like Fengling and Luozi in the entire starfield. Yanqing thought that these two people were the most beautiful in the world, and there was no one more beautiful than them. But Qin Xiang in front of him made Yanqing deny his point of view immediately. Qin Xiang was so beautiful, a beauty that could not be described in words. As if Qin Xiang was the embodiment of beauty, no words could describe her, not just her appearance, but more of a temperament. Yanqing felt that he was deeply moved by Qin Xiang's beauty. This kind of move was not an emotional one, but a pure admiration, an expression of being amazed and shocked. Qin Xiang glanced at Yanqing, took the medicine jar, and whispered a thank you. Her voice was like a flying spring, melodious and graceful, like the sound of nature. She hurriedly ran into the house in small steps, and when she came out again, she was wrapped in a veil, which made Yanqing, who could not see her, feel a little sorry. But even with the veil, her every move was still intoxicating. Miss Qin Xiang, you have cured me of the poison, and this time I came to visit you to thank you. Yanqing bowed deeply. It is my duty to save the dying and the wounded. There is no need to do this. You will make me very troubled. Qin Xiang just stretched out her two hands, wanting to help Yanqing up, but for some reason, she retracted them. Chapter 87, Pure Girl. You hurry up and get up, otherwise, I will be angry. The girl was at a loss. Facing Yanqing's gift, she seemed to have no idea how to react. Okay, I'll listen to Miss Qin Xiang. Yanqing smiled and slowly stood up. Before coming in, he thought he would see a wise, mature and respected doctor, but after coming in, he found that the doctor living here seemed like an ignorant girl who had not experienced much of the world. Yanqing's action made the girl feel relieved, and her tightly frowned eyebrows slowly opened up and revealed a smile. I don't have any rules here. Just do what you usually do. Come in, Qin Xiang said softly. Then I'll bother you. Yanqing took a step and walked into the simple house. The space in the house is very small, only about 40 square meters. In addition to a living room, there is only one bedroom. There is no decoration on the wall. It is very simple. Yanqing can smell a faint fragrance in the air, but he doesn't know where it comes from. Oh, I almost forgot. I'll make you some tea. No need. It's too much trouble for you, Miss Qin Xiang. Yanqing tried to stop her, but Qin Xiang still hurried to the side and got some dried tea leaves. Few people usually come to my place. I'm very happy that you can come. Qin Ziyang smiled. Soon, a pot of tea was ready, emitting curling hot steam. Yanqing sipped the green tea in the cup. First, a full bitter taste bloomed in her mouth, and her tongue was numb, but then a trace of mellow and elegant fragrance spread on the tip of her tongue, gradually expanding, and the bitterness in her heart instantly turned into the most pure and fragrant taste. Good tea. Yanqing praised sincerely. This tea was much more delicious than any other tea he had drunk before. Really? Then drink another cup. Qin Ziyang had a happy look on his face and poured another cup of tea for Yanqing. Yanqing accepted it happily, and after tasting it, he drank it again. How is it? Qin Ziyang asked expectantly. Very good. Have another cup. One cup after another. Even though Yanqing was a little overwhelmed, he couldn't say no when looking at the enthusiastic Qin Ziyang. His stomach was so bloated. Yanqing turned the teacup and looked at the emerald green tea in the cup. He felt it was hard to swallow. He couldn't drink it anymore. He thought about it and decided to change the subject. Miss Qin Ziyang, your medical skills are really good. I thought the person who stayed here would be a more mature, lady. Yanqing took a sip of tea and said, no, medical skills are profound and my level is still very low. Just call me Qin Ziyang. Qin Ziyang stared at Yanqing's teacup and saw that the tea in the cup was running low. She picked up the pot and filled it up, which made Yanqing's face turn bitter. Oh, Qin Ziyang, do you live here alone? Yanqing was speechless. This girl was really innocent. Qin Ziyang couldn't even see the embarrassment on his face. Yes, I have lived here since I was 10 years old. But I was not the only one living here. There were also 2 sisters. But after a few years, they couldn't stay here anymore, so I let them leave. Qin Ziyang blinked. 10 years old? So early, why? Yanqing was surprised. Normally, a 10-year-old child should still be lying in the arms of an adult. Why did she live alone? This? Qin Ziyang's expression was slightly gloomy. Sorry, it involves your asterisk. Yanqing apologized. Nothing, it's not something that can't be said, because when I was young, I would bring disaster to everyone, so I asked to live alone. Qin Ziyang whispered. Impossible, how could such a thing happen? Yanqing murmured. It's true, but after growing up, it's okay, I'm used to living here, and I don't want to live back. Qin Ziyang smiled very cheerfully, without any shadow of the past. Yanqing was disappointed. A 10-year-old girl was considered the embodiment of disaster, accused and cursed, and even had to move out. It was hard to imagine that this was definitely a heavy blow to her at that time. The atmosphere suddenly became dull. At this moment, the door of the yard opened, and 2 little girls suddenly ran in. Sister, Ziyang's hand was burned. Sister, my hand hurts so much. A little girl had blood on her finger and she cried and threw herself into Qin Ziyang's arms. Come, Ziyang, be good, let me see. Does it hurt? Qin Ziyang, at this time, completely changed from an ignorant girl to a doctor. With a very gentle tone, she put Ziyang's hand to her mouth and blew gently. It hurts a lot. Ziyang sobbed with tears hanging from the corners of her eyes. Ziyang, you were too naughty just now. I told her not to touch the high temperature cup, but she still touched it and got burned. The little girl who brought Ziyang here said in a baby voice. Qin Ziyang took out an ointment from the medicine cabinet and applied it on Ziyang's finger. How is it? Is it better? Well, it's much better. Sister's medicine is so magical. It doesn't hurt at all and it's cool. Ziyang was surprised, and the tears on her face stopped. Ziyang, don't be so naughty in the future. Qin Ziyang looked serious and warned. I know, sister. Ziyang nodded obediently. We are going to play. Bye sister. After Ziyang healed her wound, a smile appeared on her little face again, and the 2 of them jumped away. Goodbye. Qin Ziyang smiled and waved, sending the 2 little girls out the door. Yanqing looked at this warm scene of healing and felt emotional. Although Qin Ziyang stayed in the yard alone and seemed lonely, she was not lonely. Many people would come here to heal their wounds and remember Qin Ziyang's kindness, which was contrary to the situation when she was ignored in the past. Qin Ziyang's study of medicine may also have something to do with this. Sorry for disturbing you for a long time. I should go back too. Yanqing felt that it was getting late. If he stayed any longer, Xiao Bei would probably be waiting anxiously. He stood up and said goodbye to Qin Xiang. Are you going back now? Qin Xiang was a little reluctant. It was not easy for someone to come and chat with her. I'll give you some tea leaves. You can drink some when you go back. If you finish, you can come to me for more. Qin Xiang took out a small bag, filled it with tea leaves, and handed it to Yanqing. Thank you, the tea you brew is really delicious. Yanqing reached out to take it and thanked Qin Xiang. The two walked slowly to the door, and Yanqing said, I'm leaving. Well, come again next time. Qin Xiang said softly. Yanqing walked a few hundred meters away, and a gust of wind blew, ruffling his hair. Suddenly, a torrent flashed through his heart. The system hall, that had not moved for a long time, trembled violently. A warm current rushed into Yanqing's eyes, and it seemed that there was a voice behind attracting Yanqing. He turned his head suddenly. He saw Qin Xiang, a Qin Xiang who was different from the one he had just seen. Qin Xiang standing at the door was a little blurry. Her hair was flying in the wind, coated with a layer of light purple, flashing with light. Yanqing seemed to be struck by lightning, and a figure in his mind seemed to overlap with Qin Xiang. He said in a daze, Yap, done. Now, Chapter 88, Xingxiao attacks. Please recommend. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. How could Qin Xiang be Athena? How could there be Athena in this world? Could there be Athena if there are saints here? What a joke. Yanqing shook his head vigorously and threw the thought out of his mind. However, Yanqing was still a little shaken. He didn't understand why the system hall was shaking violently at this time, and a warm current flowed into his eyes, making him see a different Qin Xiang. Was this a sign of something, or was there another meaning? Yanqing pondered. He really couldn't figure it out, and when he came to his senses, he looked at the door. Qin Xiang had returned to the yard at this time. Yanqing couldn't help but sigh. There would be opportunities in the future to explore, so there was no need to rush. Yanqing was about to return to the yard, and the communicator on his waist suddenly rang, making him frown. Who would call at this time? Zulang's name was displayed on the display screen of the communicator, and Yanqing suddenly felt very bad. Could it be that something big happened? Yanqing answered the communicator. Before Yanqing could reply, Zulang's anxious voice rang out from the other end. Yanqing, it's bad. The electromagnetic radar shows that the warriors of the Xingxiao sect are moving rapidly towards here. They are still a few hundred miles away from the City of Light. What? So fast? Yanqing clenched the communicator in his hand. He and Zulang had discussed it, but they didn't expect Wei Gong to be a few days earlier than they thought. He would start so soon. According to the preset plan, although it is not perfect yet, are Heli and Shentang and Mengbing in place. After hearing the news, they led their troops to the designated location as soon as possible and are now on standby. That's good. I will deal with Wei Gong in the end. I'll leave the rest to you. Yanqing took a deep breath and said, okay, we are relieved now. Yanqing, you should also be fully prepared. After all, you are the only key to our victory. Zulang hung up the phone. It was obvious that he was very busy at this time, dealing with various things. Yanqing quietly put away the communicator, looking at the sky above this prosperous city, which seemed to be covered by dark clouds. He murmured, the sky is going to change. A few hundred miles away, the warriors of the Xingxiao sect were running on the ground. The reason why they did not use spiritual light was to save energy so as to launch an attack on the City of Light at the first time. In the sky, there were 3 special transcendent realm warriors flying in the air. They were the 3 main generals under Wei Gong, namely, the life-taking General Zhu Chao, the sky-breaking General Jiang Yefan, and the sea-suppressing General Duan Lianshan. Behind these 3 people, a magnificent sedan chair was moving slowly. It didn't look fast, but the speed was not slow at all. It was flying leisurely. Behind the gorgeous golden curtain, a figure with a deep momentum like the sea appeared inside. If someone knew how to observe the key, they would see a huge white tiger with 4 legs in the air, showing its sharp fangs, covering the team in the sky, and gathering the morale of the army. This person is Wei Gong, one of the 10 great immortals on Aurora Star, known as the Tiger Immortal. No one can match him in close combat. although he is decisive and extremely cruel in battle, like a madman. In fact, Wei Gong is deep-minded and good at strategy. In the past few decades, he has brought the nameless Xingxiao sect to the strongest forces on Aurora Star. Wei Gong held his chin with one hand and tapped the side of the sedan with the other hand, with a thoughtful expression on his face. He knew from the beginning that the Golden Bridge was definitely not something he could hope for. The breath that made him tremble and want to crawl down was simply many times stronger than what he felt from the Ice Palace Saint when he became an immortal. If he guessed correctly, it should be the breath of the human emperor. Human emperor, what a powerful word. Countless people don't even have the qualifications to look at it, and even he can't hope to become the human emperor. However, Wei Gong still has confidence in becoming a saint. As long as he conquers the City of Light, he will definitely become a saint with the resources there. Now he has reached the 3rd level of the immortal realm, and there are 2 more levels to complete the immortal realm. There are no saints in the City of Light, and he has long wanted to take action. In this Golden Bridge inheritance event, he had a big clash with several immortals and cleared the field to show his determination to obtain the Golden Bridge inheritance. Everyone was laughing at him, but they didn't know that his target was the City of Light, and those actions were just a trick. He didn't want anyone to come and share a piece of the pie, as the City of Light was his prey. He couldn't wait, so he sent troops to the City of Light now. He wanted to conquer the City of Light as quickly as possible and take away the resources inside. Wei Gong was excited just thinking about it. The means to prove the way to become a saint would be in his hands soon. At that time, he would be the strongest saint in the starfield. Zhu Chao, who was flying in the air, had a gloomy face. Just now, he learned from the spies that the man who killed him twice had actually entered the City Lord's mansion and surrendered to the City of Light. This time, I must kill you with my own hands, Zhu Chao said fiercely. Zhu Chao, who are you going to kill? Could it be the person who beat you and made you flee in the City of Light yesterday? TSK, that's amazing. Our deadly general has never been so embarrassed before. Jiang Yefan joked. Shut up, hiss. The next time I meet him, I will tear his body apart alive, Zhu Chao said sternly. Be careful, since that person can kill you twice, he can kill you 3 times. Once he is killed, there will only be 2 of the 3 main generals left, and your warrior team will be incorporated by us. Saving your life is the most important thing, Duan Lianshan said in a deep voice, which made Zhu Chao stunned. Don't worry, I won't go crazy in the battle. It's Lord Wei Gong who is crazy when he fights. Fortunately, there is no one in the City of Light who can make Lord Wei Gong take action. Zhu Chao's eyes flashed with relief, and the other 2 main generals nodded in agreement. If Wei Gong goes crazy and can't distinguish between friend and foe, it will not be a good thing for both the enemy and themselves. In the warrior team below, a red-haired young man took out a communicator, quietly typed a few lines of words, and then put it back to his waist without anyone noticing. The words Wei Gong, Saint, City of Light, Ice Palace appeared on the screen. The red-haired young man looked at the City of Light getting closer and closer, and whispered, I hope I can still catch up. I didn't expect Wei Gong's target to be the City of Light. I was really too careless. Also, that powerful disciple named Yanqing is also in the City of Light. If he dies, although he is in the trial, it will not have a good impact on our Swan Star domain. This person must also be protected. Some book friends said that it has been a bit abusive recently, and the chapters are a bit bland, etc. Hey, first of all, I just want to reflect that the protagonist is not used to the blood and fire battles in the outer domain, and secondly, some foreshadowing must be set up. However, at this time, the protagonist should also fight back, and the moment of killing all around is about to come, so stay tuned. There are fewer recommended votes recently, so 12 asks for recommended votes. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 89, The Enemy at the Gate. Close the city gate, open the protective shield. A warrior standing on the city wall with a lookout shouted loudly after looking at the billowing smoke and dust in the distance. Rumble. The heavy and shiny gate, mixed with black iron, slowly closed under the push of dozens of warriors. At the same time, a huge transparent protective shield rose up, covering the entire city. The shrill alarm sounded, which made the people in the city stunned, and then realized that there was an enemy invasion. They were puzzled and panicked. The City of Light is one of the most powerful forces on the Aurora Star. How could anyone attack? Buzz, the leader of the guards, Helion Shentong, rushed to the city wall with waves of warriors. The ordinary weapons flashing various colors surrounded the warriors, and a large amount of energy vortex slowly turned. As Yang Dian's bodyguard, the Mongolian soldiers led hundreds of warriors to garrison in the city lord's mansion at the first time. According to the previous plan, quickly clear out all unidentified people in the city and detain them. If there is resistance, kill them directly. Zhu Lang's face was stern. Concentrate manpower on two aspects. First, we must protect the hub of the shield in the city lord's mansion, and be alert to external enemy sabotage. Mengbing, you protect the young master, and do not let him get hurt. Second, the city must be defended. We must place 80% of our forces on the city walls to suppress the firepower of the Xingxiao sect and prevent them from causing a devastating blow to the shield. According to electromagnetic radar, the Xingxiao sect warrior team did not carry any hot weapons in order to ensure that they would not be discovered by other forces. This is our chance. Orders were issued from the city lord's mansion and transmitted to all parts of the city, allowing the giant City of Light to quickly wake up and start operating. Get on the armor. Pa. 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 A group of spirited and sharp-eyed soldiers stepped onto the cockpit of the mecha, closed the hatch, and quickly took their positions. Commander Helion, the mecha brigade has finished dressing. Please give instructions. Boom. 3 huge battle starships took off, casting hundreds of meters of shadows on the ground. The crew inside was busy debugging the performance of the warships. One after another, black gun muzzles extended from both sides of the starships, and missile launchers slowly rose and fixed. Commander Helion, the starship is ready. Please give instructions. The arsenal has been opened. Infantry, artillery battalion, everyone, take large-scale long-range weapons and rush to the firing port of the city wall as soon as possible. Hurry. All citizens, please go to the underground shelter in an orderly manner. Do not stay outside. Once discovered, you will be killed directly. The cold electronic sound in the loudspeaker echoed throughout the city, and the breath of war was filled. The black mass of people ran like a torrent, with panic and fear on their faces. On the way to the shelter, there were many large-scale stampedes. Some people who had ulterior motives and stayed where they were and refused to leave were immediately beaten into civs. Xiao Bei, stay in the city lord's mansion. Don't go out. It's very dangerous outside. I know, Brother King, you have to be careful. When Xiao Bei nodded. Don't worry, wait for me to come back. This time, I will solve your revenge for you. Yanqing touched Wen Xiaobei's head, his face calm. This time it was a war, not a one-on-one battle. He not only had to go all out, but also risk his life. Moreover, the barrier of the second level of the transcendent realm seemed to be a little loose. Perhaps he could break through to the third level of the transcendent realm in this battle. Yanqing's whole body was glowing, and his small universe continued to rise and boil, echoing the constellation of the Saint Seiya. Pegasus cloth. Yanqing shouted, and a white Pegasus spread its wings, and rushed out of the house in the yard, and crashed into Yanqing's body. Clang, clang, clang. The shining holy clothes attached to various parts of Yanqing's body, causing his momentum to surge again, and his energy gushed out. This is a true saint. Yanqing whispered, clenched his fist lightly, but crushed the air directly. Yanqing had not worn the saint cloth for a long time. This time, he put on the saint cloth, and reached the middle level of the sixth sense. He was in the second level of the transcendent realm. He truly felt the soul of the Pegasus Saint cloth, and merged with him. Xiao Bei, I'm going. Remember not to leave the city lord's mansion. Yanqing stepped into the air, and disappeared in the yard. When he appeared again, he had landed beside Zhu language. Old Zhu, how is it? The situation is still optimistic. Although time is urgent, all the troops have started in time and arrived at the designated position. However, what I'm very concerned about is that the people of the Xingqiu sect did not bring any hot weapons, but they came to attack with such confidence. They want to break through the City of Light in a short time. I don't know what they rely on. The Immortal is the biggest reliance. Apart from this, even if there are other alliances, they are not as good as the Immortal. What I'm afraid of is not this, but when the Immortal takes action, how long can this protective shield last? Yanqing looked at the distribution of troops on the omniscient map and said, as long as the protective shield has enough energy, it can resist the attacks of immortals for a long time. But although there are many energy blocks in stock in my City of Light, it is still not enough. It can only last for 3 days at most. If the people of Xingqiu sect act together, this time will be greatly shortened. Zhulang thought for a while and said, it's almost enough. According to the plan, the people of Xingqiu sect should not be able to get in. I will go to find Commander Helion now. Only with his command can we succeed. Then I'll leave it to you, Yanqing. Zhulang said in a deep voice. Okay, Yanqing answered concisely, breaking the sound barrier at a speed, and quickly came to the top of the city wall. At this time, the City of Light can be said to be an iron wall, and sections of the city wall are covered with warriors, soldiers, and mechas. Large weapons are set up on the shooting ports, aimed at the warriors of the Xingqiu sect. Yanqing looked at this group of elite warriors in the distance and the celestial sedan in the sky, and his heart was awe-inspiring. The momentum formed by an immortal, 40 transcendent realm warriors, and 1,000 innate realm warriors gathered into a thick beacon of smoke, shaking the heaven and earth. They are going to attack. Helion Shentang said solemnly. In a courtyard of the city lord's mansion, Qin Xiang looked worried. Just now, a picture appeared in her mind of the City of Light being invaded by the enemy, with corpses everywhere, and blood flowing like a river. From childhood to adulthood, her premonitions about bad things have always been accurate. When she was a child, she was considered the incarnation of disaster, because she said bad things, and they turned out to be true. No, this must be told to old Zhu. Qin Xiang had just taken a few steps when the ground suddenly shook, causing her to lose her balance and fall to the ground. Her delicate hands knocked on the hard stone, drawing bright red blood. Has it already started? In this case I have to be faster. Qin Xiang murmured, with a determined look, and ran towards the core of the city lord's mansion. You Helen. The next update will be after midnight. Not counting the next update, there will be 3 more updates tomorrow. Sunday, 12 should explode, or the recommendation votes are cast. Welcome all book friends to come and read. The latest, fastest, and hottest serialized works are all here. Chapter 90, Siege. L. Vertical bar recommend to friends vertical bar. Excellent book reviews. Publish a book review for this chapter. Interaction with this book. Positive review index number of reviewers. 0 in total. 0 monthly ticket ranking number of monthly tickets for this month. Tickets 108.177.243.204 images redirsk.png reward works this week. A total of people 108.171.243.204 images request for new works yesterday. Times of request for new works. Chapter 91, Broken Shield, Part 1. As soon as Yanqing landed, 3 warriors from the Xingqiu sect immediately rushed over. In their eyes, Yanqing was a living military merit. There was actually someone who escaped from the protection of the City of Light and came out without knowing whether to live or die. The person in front of them was here to give them military merit. However, as soon as they took a step, a powerful aura suddenly burst out from the person they thought was their prey, stopping them in their tracks. Freezing fist. The freezing air filled the air, and the 3 enemies suddenly turned into ice sculptures and shattered. Yanqing looked around the chaotic battlefield. He was surrounded by mecha troops and warriors fighting. There was also artillery fire roaring in the air. The 3 main generals led the warrior team to move forward in the war. On the left wing was Zhu Chao, in the middle was Duan Lianshan, and on the right wing must be Jiang Yefen. Yanqing understood that, if he wanted to awaken morale, he had to defeat the Xingqiu sect's warrior team and let the warriors of the City of Light see the hope of winning. Bang! Bang, bang. More than a dozen people jumped down from the wall and landed beside Yanqing. Why are you coming down again? Yanqing raised his hand to knock away the enemies rushing over on the battlefield and shouted, Master Yan, we are here to clear the way for you. The commander said that, since you want to awaken the morale, you have to break the shield of Duanlian Mountain. The shield is a weapon. Without destroying the shield, large-scale firepower will not work at all. I see. Yanqing nodded, and the cold air around him made it impossible for the enemy to approach. Helian Shentang still knew how to use people. Seeing that he couldn't stop him, he told him to use his strength in the most appropriate place. Then, let's do it. Yanqing's fist shone with flames. He punched out with a punch, and the flames filled the sky. The enemies who surrounded him were all on fire, screaming and rolling on the ground. Charge! Yanqing shouted, his voice like thunder in the sky. He took the lead, leading more than 10 warriors, and rushed out like a sharp arrow from a bow, tearing open the battlefield. Where Yanqing passed, people and cars were overturned, and blood and flesh flew everywhere. The battlefield changed rapidly, but the movement caused by Yanqing's team was very loud, which immediately attracted the attention of Duan Lianshan. He was the commander, and when he saw Yanqing running towards him in a holy robe, his eyes suddenly shrank. Is this the warrior named Yanqing who has just joined the City of Light? He was seriously injured by Zhu Chao, and his strength should not be underestimated. Duan Lianshan thought for a while, and understood Helian Shentang's idea. This was to use Yanqing as the core to drive the troops, and cause changes in the situation on the battlefield. Moreover, Helian Shentang probably wanted Yanqing to break his shield or even kill him. But would it be so easy to get to the side of him, the main general of Zhenhe? Duan Lianshan had a sneer on his face, and said, fold the right wing, and stop the group of people who want to raid. Encircle the left wing, and kill those broken mechas quickly. We still have to attack the city. Under Duan Lianshan's arrangement, teams of warriors changed their formations, not only attacking the City of Light more fiercely, but also surrounding Yanqing and his men. Yanqing, you must win, and win quickly. The future of this city depends on you. On the city wall, Helian Shentang had a grim look on his face, commanding the soldiers on the city wall to bombard the enemies on the battlefield below. 9 Sun Fist, fire. 2 suns fell, and dozens of enemies exploded directly, bursting into blood mist. However, the number of enemies increased, and Yanqing's progress became more and more difficult. Several warriors around him died, and other warriors were also injured. No one was intact. Even Yanqing was a little tired at this time. Clang. Finally, a warrior in the Transcendent Realm slashed Yanqing's back with a knife. The hard holy clothes blocked the blow, but the force was transmitted to Yanqing's body, causing his blood circulation to be slightly disturbed. Yanqing turned around and punched. Bang! The Transcendent Realm warrior held the sword across his chest and caught Yanqing's fist, but Yanqing's strength was too strong, and the energy gushed out, directly breaking the sword in two. The Transcendent Realm warrior was like a kite with a broken string, and flew out directly. Yanqing couldn't help but frown. The closer he got to Duanlian Mountain, the denser the Transcendent Realm warriors became. Even if he was wearing a holy cloth, he couldn't resist 40 Transcendent Realm warriors. At this moment, a rumbling sound came from not far away. Master Yan, we are here. One mecha after another gathered into a torrent, connected together, forced the enemy away, and waved the alloy swords in their hands, rushing in front of Yanqing. However, these mechas were too weak, and could only deal with the Xianshan realm. After arriving here, they were immediately torn apart when they encountered the Transcendental Realm. However, they still rushed forward fearlessly, and used their bodies to clear the way for Yanqing. Master Yan, please. The City of Light must. Such a voice came from a mecha, but before it was finished, it was crushed in an instant. You. 2 words popped out of Yanqing's mouth, but he couldn't say anything more, so he could only nod silently. The light on his body became more intense, and the phoenix spread its wings and flew out. Now it was only 1,500 meters away from Duanlian Mountain. This 1,500 meters was the most difficult section of the road. One after another, ordinary weapons fell, or chopped, or pierced the holy clothes, causing Yanqing's body to tremble, and even spurt blood. At 1,000 meters, Master Yan, I can only go here, please. A warrior couldn't hold on and fell to the ground. He was immediately surrounded by the enemy. Swords fell, blood splashed, and there was no sound. At 800 meters. Ahem, please. Another warrior coughed up blood and used his body to block a spear that was attacking Yanqing. He turned his head and showed his last smile. At 500 meters. The last warrior also fell down. He muttered something, but in the noisy environment, Yanqing did not hear it clearly and had no way to think, but just remembered his lip shape firmly. Yanqing felt that his heart fell into the ice water, as if numb. In the blood and fire, the rain of bullets, life disappeared too quickly. This is war, extremely harsh, either life or death. Yanqing felt a heavy weight on his shoulders. So many people placed their hopes on him, he couldn't let them down. Haha, Kit, I finally found you. Zhu Chao saw the very familiar phoenix and immediately ran back from the front, slashing down the mecha all the way, waving the battle blade and slashing at Yanqing. Death. The blood was filled. This was a move to seize vitality. He made a full effort, wanting to kill Yanqing immediately. Yanqing's eyes flashed. This was the dwarf he had killed twice, Zhu Chao. He wanted to kill this guy, but he had no time to argue with him now. He couldn't delay. Ice ring. 3 ice rings fixed Zhu Chao's body, making him unable to move, and his moves had to stop. What the hell is this? Zhu Chao was horrified. He didn't know Yanqing had this move. One wrong step, or wrong steps. He was not as good as Yanqing to begin with, and now he had lost the initiative, and fell into a desperate situation. Die. Yanqing stepped on a mecha, flew into the air, stretched out his hands, sprayed cold air, and a tornado swept out. Aurora lightning struck. Boom. Zhu Chao turned into an ice sculpture. Yanqing kicked it fiercely and broke it into pieces. Yanqing didn't care whether Zhu Chao was resurrected or not. He tapped his feet lightly and flew towards the target 500 meters away. He clearly remembered the task he had to do. Getting closer and closer, 400 meters away. The warriors in the transcendent realm took off together. Their UN energy was vast, and their mortal weapons shot out, attacking Yanqing. Mountain holding seal. A heavy mountain slowly formed in Yanqing's hand, and he raised his hand and smashed it, knocking a group of people away. 200 meters away, a defense net made of ordinary tools rose up, which was extremely solid. Pegasus Meteor Fist. The holy clothes burst into light and merged with Yanqing. The energy surged out like a surging river, and the fist light like a meteor covered the sky and the earth, tearing the solid defense net. 100 meters away, Yanqing fell to the ground with a bang and stared at Duan Lianshan from a distance. There seemed to be fierce sparks in their eyes. Duan Lianshan had a sneer on his face, hooked his finger at Yanqing, and motioned Yanqing to come over. Yanqing had a cold look on his face and looked at Duan Lianshan holding the shield. He was determined to kill this man. Chapter 93, Shattered Shield, Part 2. Old Duan seems to have confronted the man called Yanqing. Although I don't want to admit it, Old Duan is indeed the strongest among the three of us. In this case, Yanqing will probably die soon, and the morale of the City of Light will also collapse. Jiang Yefan bit a wooden toothpick and said leisurely, Wan Quan, you saw the small nuclear bombs for me. Sir Jiang, why is this? Deputy General Wan Quan asked in confusion. Because we are about to start the general offensive. Jiang Yefan smiled. On the other side of the battlefield, Zhu Chao stood up with difficulty. His face was very bad. A day ago, he was killed by Yanqing twice. Although he recovered once by taking away the vitality of many people through the life-taking field. But he was killed by Yanqing again just now. Now he only has one life left. He no longer dares to fight Yanqing. Looking at Yanqing who was confronting Duan Lianshan, Zhu Chao gritted his teeth and said, I can't kill you, but Lao Duan can't kill you. When I break the city, I will tear the guy next to you in half. Yanqing, don't be careless, the real opponent is still behind. Helian Shentang glanced at Yanqing and Duan Lianshan, and then concentrated on commanding the troops, not daring to be distracted. In the gorgeous sedan chair floating in the sky, unaffected by the battlefield, a pair of narrow eyes were looking at Yanqing with interest. This person is quite powerful, but he is targeted by Lianshan. I'm afraid he will lose his life. It's a pity. Yanqing didn't know that the important figures on the battlefield were paying attention to him, but even if he knew, he didn't care. His goal was only the enemy in front of him. There are 5 levels in the Transcendent Realm. Yanqing is in the 2nd level, and Duanlianshan is in the 4th level. Only 1 level is left to reach the perfection of the Transcendent Realm and enter the Immortal Realm. In addition, Duanlianshan holds the Immortal Treasure, which is definitely a big enemy. Yanqing's whole body was tense, his mind was highly focused, staring at Duanlianshan, and he raised all his energy. Duanlianshan was very indifferent, not taking Yanqing seriously. Perhaps he thought Yanqing was just a pretty good opponent. He waved his hand, and the warriors of Xingqiu sect rushed towards Yanqing like a tide. Duanlianshan smiled. He didn't want to be delayed too much by Yanqing. He still had to attack the city later. The fastest solution was for everyone to go together and surround and kill Yanqing. Yanqing glanced at Duanlianshan coldly. This guy really underestimated him. Yanqing bent down, his spine stretched, and he attacked like a big dragon. The sun's golden flame condensed on his fist, and countless golden silk threads covered the area of dozens of meters around him, flashing by. This is a beam fist. Yanqing's own boxing. A second later, all the enemies in this area stopped moving, and their expressions froze. Yanqing took a few steps, and blew a breath slightly. The stationary enemies seemed unable to withstand his breath, and instantly turned into countless powder. With a move like the beam fist, the thing he fears least is the siege of low-level warriors. Duanlianshan's expression became fierce. Yanqing actually had such a move. He showed a golden longsword, holding it in his right hand, and holding a military shield in his left hand. Kill. Yanqing kicked the ground with both feet, and popped out like a cannonball, punching Duanlianshan. Bang. Yanqing's fist was immediately blocked accurately by the small shield. Duanlianshan smiled slightly, and stretched out a sword. The sharp sword energy, that was sharp enough to cut through metal and stone, shot out. Clang clang clang. Fortunately, Yanqing had anticipated this a long time ago. He turned his body and easily blocked the attack of the sword energy with the holy clothes. Feeling the strength of the sword energy, Yanqing's expression relaxed. Although he was in the 2nd level of the Transcendent Realm, after putting on the holy clothes, he could at least be equivalent to the 3rd level of the Transcendent Realm. With the secret of the Saint's ear, it would be no problem for him to match the 4th level of the Transcendent Realm. This is a fairy treasure. Duanlianshan was surprised. His eyes flickered. This person actually had a defensive fairy treasure. It was incredible. His fairy treasure was obtained from the remains of a saint with great difficulty. It just so happened that Lord Weigon was still short of a piece of armor. This was an opportunity that came to his door. After handing it over, Lord Weigon would definitely be very happy. Duanlianshan's murderous intention towards Yanqing became even greater. The golden longsword swung and continuously collided with Yanqing's fist covered with the holy clothes. The Yuan energy collided violently, and the energy fluctuations lifted many warriors around. Zhenhe domain. Duanlianshan was impatient and the domain unfolded. Yanqing was about to move behind Duanlianshan, but a resistance like running in water suddenly appeared, which slowed him down, and he staggered and almost fell. Yanqing was surprised. A longsword came from nowhere. Yanqing's 6th sense was quickly mobilized. He turned his body slightly and dodged it narrowly. The longsword was caught in the gap of the holy clothes. Yanqing raised his palm and chopped it down. Crack. The longsword broke into 2 pieces. Yanqing retreated quickly and distanced himself from Duanlianshan. This was a slow field, which had a great impact on his speed, but Duanlianshan was like a fish in water here, and his speed did not decrease. What should I do? Yanqing glanced at the City of Light. The protective shield of the City of Light was flashing fiercely. The attack of the Xingqiu sect was more fierce. He had to solve it quickly. The Phoenix magic fist must not be used on Duanlianshan at this time, otherwise it would be bad if Weigon saw it. Oh, Yanqing had a flash of inspiration. He forgot something very important. Duanlianshan said nothing. Although Yanqing was stronger than he thought, he still had the confidence to kill Yanqing. This was not blind arrogance, but he had a fairy treasure, and he could defend against any powerful attack. There are still his people around. No matter what, Yanqing, even if he has powerful moves, His energy will be used up in the end and he will be exhausted to death here. Split light and fleeting shadows. Duan Lianshan's long sword split into two sword lights, which floated past and slashed towards Yanqing. A sword that shocks the sky. The long sword pointed at Yanqing, and the shocking sword energy burst out. The space was cut open, revealing a long black line. Akalanatha. Yanqing shouted, and an invisible defense wall appeared, blocking the shocking sword energy and sword light. At the same time, a fire phoenix appeared behind Yanqing, spreading its wings and soaring. Yanqing's body overlapped with the phoenix's shadow. Phoenix wings soaring. Fierce winds were raging, flames were shooting, and a huge fist pressure burst out, blasting towards Duan Lianshan. However, Duan Lianshan's small shield instantly blocked the phoenix wings soaring. Duan Lianshan was struggling. Yanqing's move was so powerful that it might be comparable to a saint's attack. However, he could still block it. What Duan Lianshan didn't expect was that Yanqing suddenly made a hand seal at this moment and shouted out the word in. Please vote for Sanjiang. The third update is not finished yet. I didn't sleep last night and I'm too sleepy today. I'll post it tomorrow morning. I hope you all understand. Thanks to 154,512,121 and Lon Niji Yukingshan for the reward. Chapter 93, Breaking the Shield, Part 2. The last part of the last chapter was written wrong. It should be, is the Eastern esoteric Buddhism term. Also, I started too late. Yesterday's third update is only here now. I'm really sorry. I'll update twice a night as usual. Yanqing made the sun wheel seal with his hands and chanted the great sun Tathagata heart mantra. The energy around him was boiling like the sea, and the phoenix's body suddenly surged 100 times. With its wings spread, it covered the sky and the sun. Endless flames fell, accompanied by a fierce wind that tore through space and hit the small shield heavily, causing Duan Lianshan to spit out a mouthful of blood. For the first time, there was a look of shock in his eyes. What is this thing? Is it a blessing? But this blessing is too powerful. Duan Lianshan's forehead was bulging with blue veins, and his domain shrank to protect his body, but the warriors around him were not so lucky, and turned into ashes in the super high temperature flames. Crossing. Yanqing kept chanting. The word crossing means to control the element, such as the 5 element of gold, wood, water, fire, and earth. It can greatly increase the power of the element. The power of Fengyue Xiangxiang has been completely increased by dozens of times, no worse than the attack of a perfect immortal. The 9-character mantra used by Yanqing is the imperial martial arts left by the saints of the Buddhist country. Once it involves the emperor level, everything is vast and unpredictable, and extremely terrifying. Every word in the 9-character mantra has an effect that defies the heavens. Impossible. Zhu Chao's battle blade fell to the ground with a click. The flame burned into his heart and burned away his bravery. Amecha seized this opportunity and chopped down with a large alloy knife, causing Zhu Chao to stagger and spit out blood. Why is it so powerful? This is simply breaking the measurement scale of cultivation. Jiang Yefen bit off the toothpick in his mouth with a snap. He suddenly changed color, stood up, and ran towards Duanlian Mountain. He felt something was wrong. He was afraid that Lao Duan would be killed here this time. He had to save him and deal with Yanqing together. Prepare to counterattack. Helian Shentang commanded, his face full of satisfaction. The blazing fire at the back of the battlefield was undoubtedly the best tonic. But now Yanqing is still in great danger, not only from Duanlian Mountain, but also. Helian Shentang glanced at Xianjiao without a trace and ordered, charge the main gun of the starship. Target, the enemy's leader Wei Gong. Boom. At this time, the back had become a battle between two people. Yanqing looked at the burning red shield, his mouth curled up, and a cold air covered the sky, making his whole body hot. Duanlian Mountain, who was struggling to support, felt refreshed, and then turned into a bone-chilling cold. Diamond Stardust Fist. The white bat chirped, and under the amplification of the word the ice crystals suddenly increased, flashing with diamond-like brilliance. The small shield quickly cooled down and formed a layer of ice crystals. Duan Lianshan's face changed. First the flame burned, and then the ice froze. The temperature was extremely high and extremely low. Even if it was a fairy weapon, the structure inside the small shield would be destroyed. Now, under the amplification of the 9-character mantra, he was no match for Yanqing at all. If it weren't for the small shield, he would have been killed long ago. Why is the second level of the transcendent realm so strong? Duan Lianshan showed a look of regret. If he had known earlier, he would have used the forces of both wings to directly pile up Yanqing to death. Otherwise he would not have reached this situation. Moreover, Yanqing was obviously still brewing a move, and there was a great fear in his heart. Boom. Wei Gong in the sedan chair could not sit still. He couldn't let Duan Lianshan die, and the small shield must not be destroyed. He stretched out one hand, and turned into a golden big hand. The terrifying energy wave spread, and fell towards Yanqing. Yanqing focused on dealing with Duan Lianshan, without raising his head. It was not that he did not take the immortal's attack seriously, but that he was sure that the attack would never fall on him. Because he was not fighting alone. Main gunfire. A thick energy cannon fell, and with a bang, it shattered the golden hand. Then, 2 energy cannons fired at the Xian duo, making it impossible for Wei Gong to attack Yanqing. Helian Shentang said silently, "Yanqing, the opportunity is given to you. Whether you can grasp it or not depends on you. Fight." The word fight means to command all difficulties, bless oneself, and sublimate the fighting power to the extreme. Yanqing, who made the outer lion seal, and held the Vajrasattva Hamadharmakaya mantra, had angry eyes like a diamond, and his whole body was full of light, like a sun. One strike. Yanqing fell from the sky like a meteor, stretched out a fist, and all the power gathered at one point, exploding 10 times the energy. Duan Lianshan wanted to dodge, and put the small shield in front of him. Yanqing sneered. "Do you think you can dodge it?" The 9-character mantra was used by Yanqing. All the mysteries of the mantra flowed through his mind. For the first time, he felt that he was really stupid for ignoring this. ZHE. Yanqing roared. The ZHE mantra means the power to freely control others, and one's own body. Yanqing used this mantra to naturally freeze Duan Lianshan. Can't move. Duan Lianshan was shocked to find that he couldn't move in the face of this attack. It was as if there was an supreme will that pressed him to the ground. His breath was locked. He couldn't dodge this attack anyway. Boom. The light was dazzling, and a big collision broke out. Old Duan. Just as Jiang Yefen was about to approach, a huge airwave hit him, and almost lifted him off. Wei Gong's eyes turned cold, and the sky sedan exploded with a bang. His hands made a sound of metal clashing, and blocked the energy cannon. Just as he wanted to involve the battlefield below, dozens of missiles rushed in front of him. "I finally found this opportunity. How could I let you ruin it? It's impossible to get through." Helian Shentang said sternly. "Everyone, switch to large weapons, fan-shaped sweep, and kill all the garbage from Xingxiao sect." Helian Shentang looked at the battlefield. At this time, the energy fluctuations caused by the big collision had disappeared. A large pit hundreds of meters deep appeared where the two fought. Old Duan. Jiang Yefen walked to the edge of the pit, looked down at the two people below, and was immediately stunned. Yanqing kept stretching out a fist. His fist was stained with blood and white substances, and under his feet, there were dozens of pieces of magic weapon fragments scattered, which were the fragments of the small shield. Duan Lianshan knelt on one knee on the ground. His body seemed to be intact, but the part above the neck was bare, with nothing. This was because Duan Lianshan's head was blown off by Yanqing. Old Duan is dead. Jiang Yefen felt a deep chill. Duan Lianshan had fought with Wei Gong for so many years, but he died here, and was killed by a young man. This was completely beyond his imagination. Damn. Jiang Yefen's heart was cold, and he ran away frantically from the edge of the pit. He was not afraid of Yanqing, but he knew that this place would soon become a hell, and Yanqing would definitely not survive. With the death of old Duan, Master Wei Gong, who had a deep relationship with him, would probably go crazy. Chapter 94, Divine Form. Boom. Jiang Yefen turned around and ran a few dozen meters away. As he expected, a huge explosion occurred behind him. The aftermath of the energy directly blew him away, and blood was splattered. However, after being blown away, Jiang Yefen climbed up again. He used all his strength to escape from this area. Jiang Yefen understood that Wei Gong was really angry. "Lianshan." Wei Gong roared. He endured the attack of all missiles and shot a brilliant divine light at the pit underground. There were law fluctuations in the divine light. Yanqing's actions ruined his plan. It would be extremely difficult to destroy the City of Light. The protective shield could only be broken by a pile of people. Without the small shield and Duanlianshan for protection, the warriors of the Xingxiao sect would definitely suffer heavy casualties. Not only that, but in this battle, they would definitely not be able to enter the City of Light in one day. In this case, even if there were electronic shielding equipment to block the signal, various forces would find out the situation here, and they would definitely come in and get a share. By then, what they got from the Xingxiao sect would definitely be greatly reduced. He paid the most, but got very little. All his plans failed. The furious Wei Gong wanted to kill Yanqing desperately. Helian Shentang felt as if cold water had been poured on him from head to toe. He was icy cold all over. He did not expect Wei Gong to choose to withstand the bombardment of dozens of missiles and attack Yanqing. He could not help but scream, "No!" The starship missile intercepted. But he made up for it too late. The divine light was extremely fast and sank into the pit in an instant. He could no longer stop Wei Gong's attack. Boom. A huge mushroom cloud bloomed behind the battlefield. What? Yanqing was hit head on. Zulang was stunned. He slowly let go of the communicator in his hand. The communicator fell down and broke into 2 pieces. Yanqing had no chance of surviving the direct attack of the immortal. Wei Gong's face was cold and fierce. He wanted the person who killed Duanlianshan to die without leaving any residue. He looked towards the City of Light. His eyes were somewhat depressed. Duanlianshan was dead. The cost of attacking the City of Light this time was too high. No matter how many low-level warriors died, they could make up for it, but high-level warriors were not so easy to find, especially those like Duanlianshan, who were at the 4th level of the Transcendent Realm. There were only a few dozen of them on the entire Aurora Star. "I was really careless," he whispered. Jiang Yethan was wrong. Wei Gong did not value his feelings for Duanlianshan, but his value. Suddenly, Wei Gong was startled. A bloody figure rushed up to the sky and confronted him in the air. Yanqing. The sorrow on Helian Shentang's face disappeared, and he was replaced by a look of surprise. This figure was Yanqing. Yanqing was panting. The divine light just now was really dangerous and almost cut him in half. However, fortunately, he was protected by the holy clothes, which protected most of his body, allowing him to barely have the ability to fight. Yanqing looked at Wei Gong in front of him, and his heart was filled with murderous intent. It was this man who ordered the clearing of the scene and killed Xiao Bei's relatives and partners, but he knew that now was definitely not the time to kill Wei Gong and avenge Xiao Bei. Once Wei Gong got serious, he would definitely be killed by Wei Gong in this state. The most urgent thing was to escape to the City of Light. Before escaping, he had to control Wei Gong and even hit him hard. Yanqing stretched out a finger, and the light condensed. Wei Gong frowned. This man was not dead. If he was not dead, let him die again. Above his head, a white tiger phantom condensed, and a huge tiger claw stretched out and slapped Yanqing. Bang! Yanqing passively endured the claws of the white tiger, as if struck by lightning, and spurted out a large mouthful of blood. Blood splattered, and his body fell down, but the Phoenix magic fist had been completed. A ray of light came out and swept across Wei Gong's eyebrows before Wei Gong could defend. Wei Gong's expression immediately became dull and fell into the illusion of the magic fist. Boom. When Yanqing landed, he turned over and landed steadily on the ground. He stomped his feet again and rushed into the sky. Bang. A fist silently pressed on the face of Wei Gong, who had no reaction. The UN energy exploded, causing the immortal's face to be distorted. It was great. Bang. Yanqing kicked him again on the chest, kicking Wei Gong directly to the ground like a ball, smashing a hill. Jiang Yethan and Zhu Chao stared at Wei Gong in amazement. Yanqing's punches and kicks directly brought down the monument of Wei Gong's invincibility in their hearts. However, what surprised them even more was that after Yanqing finished his punches and kicks, he didn't even look back and fled to the City of Light and plunged into the City of Light as if he was avoiding something. Fight. Helian Shentang seized the opportunity and like fireworks, he concentrated his artillery fire on Wei Gong. Protect Lord Wei Gong. Jiang Yefan shouted with blood and sorrow, leading the warriors, and the fireball wind blades continuously intercepted various energy attacks from the City of Light, but the artillery fire was too fierce and directly submerged Wei Gong buried in the hill. As soon as Yanqing came back, he felt safe in his heart. The wounds in his body immediately reacted, stimulating his nerves, and causing him to fall forward. Fortunately, he was supported by a warrior. "Thank you for your hard work." Helian Shentang sighed. "It's almost the same as expected." The small shield was destroyed, and Duan Lianshan was killed, but the trump card was exposed. It is estimated that it will not be effective if used again. Yanqing said. "This is a good result. The battlefield changes rapidly. Take one step at a time." Helian Shentang said. Roar. A white tiger appeared from the collapsed hill, roaring to the sky, and the sound resounded for hundreds of miles. Jiang Yefan could hear endless murderous intent and anger from it. The warriors of Xingxiao sect were trembling, hiding in a hurry, and their positions were in chaos. They were hit head-on by the people of the City of Light, and many were killed and injured. Wei Gong touched his aching cheek. His eyes were cold. Since he became an immortal, he had not been beaten here for a long time. He did not expect to be beaten again this time. It was really humiliating. It must be said that the illusion was really terrible. If he had not been awakened by the intense pain, he would still be immersed in the illusion and fall into fear. "You must die." Wei Gong was full of killing intent, looking at Yanqing on the wall. He crawled down, his clothes burst, and turned into a real white tiger. The texture contained the meaning of Taoism, and the breath of the law was permeated around his body. With a tiger roar, the wind and clouds surged, shaking the earth. This is the divine form of the immortal. Like the realm of the transcendent realm, it is also a symbol of a realm. It is the strongest magical power that the immortal relies on to traverse the galaxy. Wei Gong is called the Tiger Immortal because he can transform into the divine form of a white tiger. The energy between heaven and earth gathered in the tiger's mouth, and a thick beam of light shot out from the mouth and bombarded the City of Light. Chapter 95. The second person to possess a microcosm. The beam of light was close to the ground, splitting the earth along the way. It crashed into the protective shield of the City of Light with great momentum. A huge dent immediately appeared on the shield, and the dent continued to sink. The warriors on the city wall looked at the continuous bombardment of the beam of light from a close distance. Their faces turned pale. Once the shield was broken, they would be the first to be killed. Can the shield hold on? This beam of light is stronger than the 3 main guns of the starship combined. It's terrible. This is the attack of the immortal. It is countless times stronger than the transcendent realm. Can we really win without immortals in our City of Light? People's hearts began to waver again. For the first time, these warriors felt the power of the immortals. Helian Shentang said loudly, "Don't be afraid. This protective shield was set up by the City Lord. It is so magical that even immortals can't get in." After calming people's hearts, Helian Shentang connected the communicator and said, "How many energy blocks are there in the city? How long do you expect the protective shield to last?" "Commander Helian, there are less than 1,000 energy blocks now. At this consumption rate, it can only last for 3 hours at most." A voice came from the other end of the communicator, sounding very anxious. 3 hours. Helian Shentang muttered. He hung up the communicator and said to Yanqing, "It's enough. Wei Gong can't maintain such a strong output for a long time. The protective shield can at least last for 1 day. Take advantage of this time. We quickly make the next plan and try to kill Wei Gong as much as possible. Even if we can't kill him, we must seriously injure him." "I understand. This injury will recover soon, and the realm has made a breakthrough." Yanqing also said loudly to calm people's hearts. "Breakthrough? You are going to break through?" Helian Shentang's face was happy. This is undoubtedly good news. "Well, fighting between life and death, the breakthrough is very fast," Yanqing said calmly. "For someone like him who has enough energy accumulation and only lacks realm, constantly wandering between life and death is the best tempering. Just rest assured to break through. We will stay here and will not let the enemy get close." Now, the warrior team of Xingxiao sect has lost Duan Lianshan and weapons and is suppressed by our firepower. There is no chance to break through, Helian Shentang said. "Then I will leave it to you." Yanqing nodded and walked down the city wall with the help of the warriors and walked towards the city lord's mansion. When Gong stopped attacking, his body shape changed and he recovered his human body. He continued to maintain high intensity attacks and his energy was almost exhausted. When Gong's face was gloomy. The protective shield of this city of light was indeed strong. It seems that we need to coordinate the troops well to break through the city of light. In the city lord's mansion, Yanqing just entered Yu Heilan and saw Zhu Lang with a sad face. Beside him was the gentle and lovely Qin Xiang with a veil. Mr. Zhu, what's wrong? Yanqing frowned and asked. Yanqing, our city of light will soon be broken. When that happens, the city will be flooded with blood and countless people will die. Zhu Lang threw out a bad news. Why do you say that? Yanqing said seriously. It's because of me. Qin Xiang whispered beside him. You? Yanqing was stunned. Miss Qin Xiang has been very accurate in predicting bad things since she was a child. The situation in my city of light was predicted by Miss Qin Xiang. Zhu Lang sighed. So that's how it is. Yanqing understood. Qin Xiang once told him that when she was a child, she was considered the incarnation of disaster. Could it be that the bad things she said came true? In this case, the city of light must make plans early. Yanqing looked worried. He didn't expect that the city would be broken. Yanqing, you are seriously injured. I will treat your injuries. Qin Xiang came over and said timidly. Her eyes were a little worried. She was afraid that Yanqing would stay away from her after knowing this. My injury is not a problem. It will heal soon. Yanqing said. His words were very true. As a saint seer, he had a strong recovery ability. After awakening the phoenix had the attribute of nirvana, which made Yanqing almost immortal. You really hate me? Qin Xiang's face was gloomy. This is not what you think. You can heal it. You can heal it. Yanqing was embarrassed. Okay, come here with me. Qin Xiang smiled, walked forward, supported Yanqing, and took him to the house on the side to heal. No need to do this. I can walk. Being so close to Qin Xiang, Yanqing was very nervous, especially when Yanqing thought that Qin Xiang might be Athena. He felt even more uncomfortable in his heart, and a different emotion spread. While walking, he couldn't help but touch Qin Xiang's soft body and smell Qin Xiang's faint body fragrance. The fragrance was the same as what he smelled in Qin Xiang's house, refreshing and intoxicating. Bang! The system hall trembled violently, which made Yanqing stunned. A warm current flowed into his eyes. In his eyes, Qin Xiang turned into purple hair again, and this time Yanqing also found that behind Qin Xiang, there was a faint light wing stretching freely. Yanqing was greatly shocked. What on earth was going on? The system was shaking again. What on earth was going on? Sit down. Qin Xiang said gently as he walked into the room on the side. Well, okay. Yanqing sat in a place. He looked at Qin Xiang with empty hands and wondered. Qin Xiang, you don't have any medicine or medical tools. How can you heal me? Qin Xiang smiled and stretched out two bare hands, carefully sticking to Yanqing's wound. Yanqing twitched in pain, but he still chose to believe that Qin Xiang could heal him. Suddenly, two balls of light lit up, which made Yanqing stunned. Qin Xiang's hand lit up with a soft light, and he immediately felt itchy on the wound. This was the wound healing rapidly, and the cells regenerating crazily. Microcosm. Only then did Yanqing feel that Qin Xiang seemed to have the same power as him, as if there was a vast universe. The system vibrated again, and more violently than before, as if there was an earthquake in the sea of consciousness. System, what's going on? Yanqing couldn't help it, and his consciousness came to the system hall. Host, you met someone who has the same microcosm as you, and her microcosm is very powerful, far exceeding yours, so the vibration occurred. The system explained. How strong is her microcosm? Yanqing asked. If the host awakens the seventh sense, maybe it can be compared. Seventh sense? Yanqing was shocked. Wouldn't that be the level of a saint? This means that Qin Xiang's strength is that of a saint. Are you kidding? How can this be possible? However, host, her microcosm seems to be locked, and now she can only use a small part of it, not even 1,000th. The system said. Locked? How can it be opened? Yanqing asked. If Qin Ziyang could become a saint, a fellow like Wei Gong could be killed with just one finger, and the crisis in the City of Light could be resolved. The host can connect with her through your microcosm, and through the guidance of the system, a part of the microcosm can be brought out again, but it will not be fully opened. The system was silent for a while and said, how much can be brought out? 1% at most. Don't have too much hope. That's enough. Yanqing said, 1%. Definitely the level of an immortal, which is definitely a great help. There were slight traces of sweat on Qin Ziyang's forehead. Yanqing was seriously injured, and it was very difficult for her to heal like this. More than 10 minutes later, she finally cured Yanqing, and at this time, Yanqing also understood the whole process of triggering Qin Ziyang's microcosm at the system. Everyone, please vote for Sanjiang, and there are also recommendation votes. Thanks to Lun Nijiu Chang Shine and Sister 13 for the reward. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 96, The Bright and Vast Microcosm. Okay, Qin Ziyang said gently, removing her hand from Yanqing. At this time, the wounds on Yanqing's body had healed and scarred, and some shallow wounds had even scabs and fallen off. Qin Ziyang, thank you, your healing skills are amazing, and I'm fine now. Yanqing stood up, stretched his body, and smiled at Qin Ziyang. It's good that you've recovered. You don't have to thank me. This is what I should do. Saving people is a very happy thing. Qin Ziyang said softly. Yanqing looked at Qin Ziyang. He always felt that Qin Ziyang was so kind that it made people pity and feel distressed. Shouldn't such a girl only exist in fairy tales? How could she appear in reality? He finally couldn't help asking, why do you think like this? Isn't life tiring? Qin Ziyang was silent for a while after hearing Yanqing's words, and then slowly said, maybe it's because I have been causing deep harm to others since I was a child, making them very painful, so at that time, I thought, if I could bring happiness to everyone, how great it would be. After moving to that courtyard, I suddenly had such a magical ability. I'm very grateful to God for giving me such an ability, so that I can heal others, and relieve their pain. As for whether I'm tired, Qin Ziyang smiled gently and said, after curing others, seeing them get rid of the disease and the smile on their faces, the tiredness is gone. Yanqing sighed. What a kind-hearted girl who doesn't understand the risks of the world. But Yanqing suddenly thought, does Qin Ziyang really not understand the dangers of the world? I'm afraid not. Suffering from the cold accusations of others in her childhood, and being slandered as the embodiment of disaster, such an experience probably made her mind mature early, but even if she encountered such treatment, she was still willing to do so, as if saving others with the mentality of atonement. Such a bright girl really made Yanqing feel respectful. Yanqing hesitated and said, Qin Ziyang, do you know what your ability is? What is it? Qin Ziyang blinked. Microcosm. Yanqing uttered 3 words microcosm. Qin Ziyang asked in confusion. Yes, the microcosm is the potential cosmic energy of the human body. Everyone has it, but the microcosm of ordinary people is very weak, so it cannot be brought into play. But your microcosm is very powerful, incredibly powerful, so it can be expressed and turned into a kind of ability for treatment. Yanqing explained the mystery of the microcosm. So that's how it is. Qin Ziyang nodded as if she understood. She looked at her weak body and felt that she was nothing special, just like an ordinary person. In fact, there is a larger microcosm in your body, but it can't be brought out. Qin Ziyang, I have a way to bring out some of the powerful microcosm in your body again. It will not only help you treat more people, but also be very helpful to our City of Light. Are you willing? Yanqing turned his head away. He felt as if he had deceived an innocent girl. In this case, will I have more light for healing? Qin Ziyang asked expectantly. Yes, Yanqing said seriously. Qin Ziyang had a happy smile on his face. If I can save and protect more people, I'm willing to do so. In this case, I'll leave it to you. Aren't you afraid that I will lie to you? No, because I can feel that your heart is very kind and gentle. Qin Xiang smiled brightly at Yanqing, with her hair fluttering. Yanqing's heart suddenly shook, and in his eyes, the purple color became deeper and deeper. Or thinner. Yanqing murmured, "What are you talking about?" Qin Xiang asked curiously. "Oh, nothing." Yanqing came back to his senses, took a deep breath, and said, "Then let's start. By the way, there will be some offensive actions in the process of leading out the small universe. I apologize in advance." "It's okay." Qin Xiang shook his head. The two sat opposite each other. Yanqing connected one hand with Qin Xiang's hand, and the microcosm in his body began to rotate rapidly, splitting out a microcosm that extended under the control of the system and was transmitted to Qin Xiang's body through the hands of the two people. This is to use Yanqing's microcosm to awaken Qin Xiang's microcosm. This process is very dangerous. Yanqing's microcosm belongs to an outsider. Once the microcosm in Qin Xiang's body is overstimulated, it will cause a strong rebound and hurt him. Therefore, it is safest to let the system control it. "System, what should I do next?" Yanqing asked, after feeling his microcosm entering Qin Xiang's body. "Use mental power to feel her microcosm, so that you can draw some power from it." Okay. Yanqing closed his eyes and his mental power radiated. As soon as he touched Qin Xiang's microcosm, he was immediately shocked. A soft and powerful microcosm slowly rotated, and the brilliant sea of stars inside was too bright, countless times brighter than the sea of stars in Yanqing's microcosm. The stars in that microcosm were as numerous as the sands of the Ganges, endless. Is this the microcosm equivalent to the seventh sense? So strong! Yanqing exclaimed. He felt as if he had become very small, like a tiny speck of dust. The system began to move. It used the power of Yanqing's microcosm to touch Qin Xiang's microcosm again and again, carefully and quickly. Qin Xiang's microcosm began to revive, and Yanqing felt a repulsive force, and this repulsive force was getting stronger and stronger. A faint sense of danger lingered in Yanqing's heart. "Is it really okay to do this?" Yanqing asked worriedly. "Host, don't worry. This has a 100% success rate," the system said. With the continuous touch of Yanqing's microcosm, Qin Xiang's microcosm finally revived on a large scale. At this critical moment, the system suddenly stopped, as if thinking about something. "Host, I have to use all my strength. Please protect your body." "What?" Yanqing didn't hear clearly. Suddenly, Yanqing felt that his microcosm suddenly exploded and crashed directly into Qin Xiang's microcosm. Boom. After this collision, Qin Xiang's microcosm immediately fully revived, and an extremely powerful momentum appeared on Qin Xiang. "Damn. System, you're cheating me." Yanqing's mind flashed with this last thought, and he was immediately rebounded by Qin Xiang's microcosmic power. His mental power collapsed, and he fainted. Qin Xiang's momentum was still rising, and the system's actions seemed to awaken a supreme will. This will directly cover the entire city of light, making everyone lie on the ground, unable to move, and it was still expanding. "This is much stronger than the seventh sense," said the system, but Yanqing could no longer hear its words. Wei Gong, who was outside the city of light, looked at the city of light in horror. He knelt on one knee at this time, and could only keep his body from falling down with difficulty. "Is there a saint in this city of light? What is going on?" Boom. After the supreme will covered the entire aurora star, it rushed into space. Is this will the birth of a saint? Or is it that a saint has come to the Swan Star region? The old man pondered. First, the human emperor's weapon, and then the terrible will of Advent. My Swan Star region is about to fall into trouble. The middle-aged man in white robe sighed slightly. In a magnificent palace on Shiangsuan Star, a heroic man in armor was meditating on an ice bed. He was surrounded by 10,000 years of ice, emitting a chill. At this moment, his communicator suddenly rang, and he received a message. He frowned and looked at it. His face changed drastically. Yanqing is dead. The city of light is actually under siege. When did this happen? It seems that I have to go there. I hope I can still make it in time. The heroic man turned into a stream of light and flew towards the aurora star. Sorry, this chapter took too long to revise. The second update will be made up tomorrow. Chapter 97, Seekers from Afar. Swan Star region, Yanqing Star. In an inconspicuous small city, an old man who was guarding the door on the construction site was dozing on the table, snoring loudly. Old Wang, wake up, get up and open the door. A middle-aged worker with a cigarette in his mouth and a beard on his face slapped the guard room at the door and yelled at Old Wang. Open the door. Oh, I'll be right there, right there. Old Wang woke up with a start, rubbed his eyes, and hurriedly pressed the button to open the door, opening the electronic door and letting the middle-aged worker in. Here, breakfast. The middle-aged worker handed over 2 buns. Thank you, thank you. Old Wang took them, crossed his legs, and ate happily. You old man, you are so sleepy. If I hadn't come to wake you up earlier, if the foreman saw you, he would have deducted your wages. What are you thinking about all day long? I'm not thinking about anything. I'm not thinking about anything. Old Wang smiled embarrassedly. The two chatted while eating, and it was obvious that they were very familiar with each other. Old Wang, where is your daughter? She hasn't come to see you for a long time. You look so sloppy. Does she dislike you? The middle-aged worker asked. No, how could it be possible? She is very filial, but she is too busy with work. Old Wang waved his hands quickly. Really, Old Wang, you should save some money. You are so old. Don't wait until the end. No one will see you off. I have seen through it. This person, without a companion to take care of him, will have a miserable second half of his life. I came out to work because I couldn't stand the loneliness at home. I didn't have a boy or a girl back then. Now, my wife is dead, and I'm left alone. I feel very regretful. The middle-aged worker smoked a cigarette, blew smoke rings, and sighed. Old Wang listened silently, chewed the buns, and didn't speak. When I earn enough money, I will marry a wife and mother, and then adopt a son, and live together, so that my next life will be stable. The middle-aged worker said happily, with longing in his eyes. No more talking. It's time to work. Make money, make money. The middle-aged worker walked into the construction site. Old Wang looked at the disappearing figure of the worker, narrowed his eyes, and sighed in a low voice. You have a goal for the rest of your life, but I can't even find a real goal. If this goes on, let alone promotion, even if I want to return to the god's domain, I can't go back. My daughter, isn't that Maya in disguise? Isn't she asking for trouble by coming to me? Let her go find Her Royal Highness the Princess. We have been looking for her in this starfield for more than 10 years, and we have visited every planet. If it weren't for the God Emperor's blood connection to confirm that Her Royal Highness the Princess is still alive, how could we still be here? In a few decades, I estimate that our realm will decline. Old Wang sighed and wanted to lie down and sleep as usual, but his body suddenly froze. He felt a familiar will rising in space. He turned around slowly, his eyes directed to the sky, as if looking beyond the planet, farther away. That was the direction of the Aurora star. This is the breath of the princess, Old Wang murmured, his body trembling with excitement. He had been searching for it for a long time, but now he had found it without any effort. He had been searching for it for more than 10 years and now he had found it. Old Wang's hunched body stood up. He usually looked a little sloppy, but now he had an inexplicable charm. A cold and beautiful woman fell from the sky. Her face, as cold as an iceberg, revealed an excited look. She said to Old Wang, "Wheeze, the princess is on Aurora Star. I feel it too. Let's go." Old Wang's appearance changed rapidly, becoming majestic. His body expanded and turned into a tall middle-aged man with blonde hair. Whoosh. The two disappeared in an instant, turning into 2 streams of light and flying towards Aurora Star. Being able to fly in space, these 2 people are like saints. Hey, Old Wang, Old Wang. The middle-aged worker came over, looked at the empty guard room, touched his head, and wondered, where did this guy go? He looked down and saw a note on Old Wang's table and a thick stack of money under the note. The middle-aged worker picked up the note, and the handwriting on it was very sloppy. This was Old Wang's handwriting. Thank you for your care during this period. In fact, I'm a master who lives in seclusion here. I have something to do today and have to leave. This money is a thank you gift to you. What's the matter? So literary, and you give me money. I want it. The middle-aged worker muttered, but his eyes were a little red. I didn't expect that you, old man, are really a master hidden in the world. Qin Xiang now feels very warm, and her condition has never been so good as today. She opened her eyes and looked down. Although she still looked the same as before, her body seemed to have become lighter. Qin Xiang clenched her fists and felt that the power surging out of her body was much more than before. That's great. Now we can save more people. Qin Xiang was very happy. She looked around and wanted to find Yanqing to tell him the good news. Yanqing. Qin Xiang saw the unconscious Yanqing and exclaimed. He ran over and put Yanqing on her legs. His hands shone with light, covering Yanqing. This time the light was very bright, many times stronger than before. A ray of soft light turned into a healing power and entered Yanqing's sea of consciousness, gathering Yanqing's mental power and fantasizing Yanqing's consciousness. Yanqing screamed and opened his eyes. His face was a little dazed. What happened to him? You woke up. Qin Xiang said in surprise. Qin Xiang? Yanqing was stunned. So this is it. Memories emerged in his mind, starting from the triggering of Qin Xiang's microcosm, and replaying the last scene, where he was fooled by the system. Yanqing was furious, and rushed into the sea of consciousness. System, you fooled me. Yanqing shouted, and his voice echoed in the sea of consciousness. No, host, you are framing me. When you were doing the last step, the system had warned you to protect your body. The system said calmly. Did you say that? Yanqing asked suspiciously. Yes, but the host didn't hear it clearly at the time. The host also said 2 words. What? The system answered seriously. That's it. Yanqing thought about it, and it seemed to be true. Host, the system has exhausted its energy because it helped you trigger other people's microcosms, so it has to sleep for a while. During this time, the host should work hard to improve your realm. When we meet next time, I hope that the host will be able to become an immortal master in this world. The system said this sentence very quickly, while Yanqing was not able to react, and then fell silent. The system hall also turned grey and the door was closed. Hey, I have something to ask you. Yanqing was stunned and completely speechless. This system is too irresponsible. Can't it give him some help? Forget it, I still rely on myself. Yanqing sighed, and his consciousness returned to his body. You're fine, Yanqing. Qin Xiang said worriedly. It's okay. Yanqing then realized that he was lying on Qin Xiang's legs. His face suddenly felt a little hot, and he quickly stood up. Qin Xiang, Yanqing was about to ask Qin Xiang how much of the microcosm he had drawn out, but suddenly he found that Qin Xiang's hair was purple. Purple? What was going on? Yanqing was shocked. The system had fallen asleep. This time when he looked over, his eyes definitely had no help from the system. In other words, Qin Xiang's hair had really turned purple, and it appeared purple in reality. Chapter 98, Breakthrough, the 3rd level of Transcendent Realm. Qin Xiang, your hair. My hair? What happened to my hair? Qin Xiang asked curiously. It turned purple. Yanqing calmed down and said. Purple. Qin Xiang brushed the hair beside her ear with her bare hands, turned her head and looked over, and was immediately stunned. My hair color changed from black to purple. Qin Xiang murmured, and this wonderful change surprised her. Yanqing stared at Qin Xiang with purple hair. He felt that he must have caused the change in Qin Xiang, and this change was not only in appearance, but also in temperament. If Qin Xiang with black hair gives people a gentle and pleasant feeling, then Qin Xiang with purple hair gives people a holy and sacred feeling. Is Qin Xiang really Athena? Yanqing's heart once again rang the name of the goddess in Greek mythology. Saint Sia cannot avoid Athena. After all, the object of loyalty of Saint Sia is Athena. But the world he is in now is the real world 5,000 years later, not the world in the book of Saint Sia. There are no gods, no sun god, no Zeus, and no Athena in this world. Even if he is a Saint Sia, there is only him. In fact, Qin Xiang just had similar hair color and microcosm to Athena. Yanqing figured it out and stopped worrying about it. This is not bad. Qin Xiang stroked her purple hair. After it turned purple, she was only surprised for a while, then calmed down. In her heart, she felt that this purple was the original color of her hair. Qin Xiang, how do you feel about your ability? Yanqing asked about the business. It's much better than before. Your hard work has not been in vain. Look. Qin Xiang smiled playfully. Between her hands, a ball of light bloomed, gradually expanded, and enveloped her whole body. The power of the microcosm continued to surge, and the whole house became bright. The flowers and plants in the house grew rapidly under the illumination of this light. Although this microcosm is very gentle and non-aggressive, it is more than 10 times stronger than my microcosm. Yanqing was shocked. Qin Ziyang's microcosm is definitely at the level of an immortal. He felt relieved. This is definitely a great help for the City of Light. If the warriors of the City of Light are injured in the fighting, then Qin Ziyang's healing microcosm will be an indispensable force. At the level of an immortal, it is no problem to treat dozens of seriously injured people a day. That's great, Qin Ziyang. Yanqing stepped forward, holding Qin Ziyang's hand tightly, and said excitedly. Qin Ziyang blushed, and her hand broke away from Yanqing's hand without a trace, and put it behind her back. I'm sorry, I was rash. Yanqing reacted and apologized immediately. He was really impulsive just now. It's okay, I don't hate it. I'm just a little embarrassed, Qin Ziyang said in a low voice with a ruddy face, and his two hands were pinched together awkwardly. Really? Yanqing touched his head embarrassedly. At the moment, when Qin Ziyang blushed and spoke, he felt that his heart was moved by her purity. If Fengling had not entered his heart before, he would really have improper thoughts about Qin Ziyang. Collect your heart, Yanqing kept muttering to himself. In order to calm down his turbulent mood, just when the atmosphere was extremely awkward, a warrior suddenly shouted outside the door, Master Yan, Miss Qin Ziyang, it's bad. Many other forces have come outside the city, and they have set up a battle formation. What? Yanqing was shocked. Other forces have come and set up a battle formation against the City of Light. Does the City of Light have to face more enemies? In this case, the City of Light will really be finished. Their original plan was to repel Wei Gong, or even kill Wei Gong, to have a deterrent effect, so that other forces on the Aurora Star would not dare to offend easily. But the current situation is obviously beyond Yanqing's expectations, and the situation is extremely serious. Yanqing looked at Qin Ziyang, who had a worried look on his face, and comforted him. It's okay, don't worry, even if the city is broken, everyone will be fine hiding in the shelter. Qin Ziyang nodded silently, and her hands couldn't help but clenched. When she thought of the scene of the blood flowing into the City of Light, her face became more worried. Yanqing pushed open the door and asked seriously, have they contacted Wei Gong? Yes, Commander Helion saw that several leaders of the forces were talking to Wei Gong in detail, and they did not hide it from us. However, it seems that they have no intention of attacking the city. Yanqing's heart sank. It was bad. If it was only Wei Gong himself, he would take the initiative to destroy the defense shield in order to monopolize the resources in the City of Light and break through the City of Light as quickly as possible. This is also an important reason why they can fight Wei Gong and gain the upper hand. But the current situation is very unfavorable. Once Wei Gong and those forces have negotiated the conditions and waited for the energy of the defense shield to be exhausted, then the City of Light without the protection of the defense shield will be destroyed by so many forces attacking at the same time. I know, you retreat. Yanqing waved his hand to let the warrior retreat. Looking at the direction of the city wall, he couldn't help saying. He was very powerless, really very powerless. Although he knew the situation, he had no way to deal with it. He was not a wise man with superb wisdom. He was just a warrior who charged into battle. In this situation, the only thing he could do was to increase his strength. He had already reached the second level of the Transcendent Realm. At this time, what he had to do was to advance his cultivation to the third level of the Transcendent Realm and gain more powerful strength. Yanqing walked into a room and closed his eyes to break through. The third level of the Transcendent Realm is to polish the Star Core. After polishing 3 times, you can enter the Transcendent Realm and prepare for the promotion of the Star Core to the Immortal level. For Yanqing, if he wants to enter the third level of the Transcendent Realm, he has to temper the Sea of Stars in the microcosm. Each time he tempers it, he will be promoted by 1 level. Finally, the promotion of the microcosm is completed. Polishing is a process that takes a long time to complete, but for Yanqing, it doesn't take long, because he has the Sun Sutra, the inheritance of the Great Sun lineage. The Sun Sutra records various methods of breaking through the realm, which are very magical for different realms. For example, for the polishing process of the transcendent realm, the best method is the bell method, which visualizes himself as a big bell, with a great sound and little sound, and uses the sound of the bell to polish. Yanqing silently visualized, as if he had turned into an ancient big bell, with a vast and powerful sound. Dang. 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 Each sound shook the microcosm in his body, causing the floating stars in the microcosm to emit gray impurities. This was unstable mental power, and also useless negative mental power. The microcosm seemed to have become smaller, but more brilliant. Not fast enough. Yanqing frowned. At this speed, it would take at least another day to break through. He had to be faster, and at this time, there was another secret technique that could speed up the process again. That is, the 9-character mantra. Yanqing formed seals with both hands, holding the inner lion seal and the Vajrasattva demon subduing mantra. ZHE. Yanqing silently chanted the word ZHE, and a great force rushed into his body, as if it was the supreme will, compressing the microcosm even smaller. The energy in Yanqing's body roared, like the surging sea, the rolling waves, and even the sound of wind and thunder. Boom. Finally, accompanied by a huge roar, Yanqing finally completed the first tempering of the microcosm, and entered the third level of the transcendent realm. There is still one more update to go. Even if 12 doesn't sleep, he will still write this one out. I have been really busy lately. Chapter 99, Alliance. Helian Shintang held a telescope and stared closely at a large white tent dozens of miles away. It was a meeting place for the leaders of various forces that coveted the resources of the City of Light. Their conversation would determine the fate of the City of Light, so he had to pay attention. I really didn't expect that Wei Gong was so cautious and only brought the elite of the Xingxiao sect, but he still exposed his intentions and attracted so many forces. Yanmui sect, Jingguang sect, Qinshan sect, Xiandi sect. Helian Shintang's face became more and more gloomy. These forces were the top forces on the Aurora Star. The tigers haven't been eliminated yet, and a group of hungry wolves have come. My City of Light is really in so much trouble. Helian Shintang sighed. Even though he was the leader and had to have an unshakable will, he felt that the hope of the City of Light winning was too slim. So slim that it was almost impossible. At this time, in that tent, 7 leaders were arguing fiercely, refusing to give in to each other, striving for the greatest benefit for themselves. Some shouted loudly, some laughed coldly, some were gentle and charming, and some were full of heroism and laughed. Originally, Wei Gong should have been the one who gained the most benefits, but at this time, Wei Gong was rejected by several leaders and was very isolated in the tent. Wei Gong, I didn't expect you to attack the City of Light without telling us. TSK, who gave you such courage? Aren't you afraid that after you eat up the City of Light, we will unite and destroy your forces? A man with a scar on his face sneered. This is Shen Tu, the head of the Qinshan sect. Brother Wei Gong, it's okay for you to destroy the City of Light, but you are hesitating and being trapped by the City of Light. What's the matter? I remember that you are not so useless, Brother Wei Gong. The words of middle-aged man with a big belly revealed a mocking meaning. This is Jin Wuxing, the leader of the Jingguang sect. Hey, everyone, please don't make things difficult for Tiger Immortal. Tiger Immortal's power has been greatly reduced in order to consume the power of the City of Light. However, Tiger Immortal's power is reduced, and the benefits he gets will naturally be reduced. A woman covered her mouth and laughed. She was the leader of the Yanmei sect, Yanmiren. Wei Gong's face was as hen, and his fists creaked. He didn't expect that there would be traitors in his warrior team. The elites he led had clean backgrounds, and had never communicated with other forces. He had been very careful, but he didn't expect to be tricked. He hated it in his heart. Now, not only could he not monopolize the resources of the City of Light, but he would also get the least benefits. Wei Gong snorted coldly and said, since that's the case, you guys have discussed it. I'm going to go out for a walk. Goodbye, I won't see you off. Several leaders breathed a sigh of relief. Seeing Wei Gong leave, they were even happier. This way, they would get more benefits. Of course, the price was that Wei Gong's benefits would be reduced. However, since Wei Gong walked out of the tent, he was telling them that he had no intention of fighting. But, did Wei Gong really not want to fight? Wei Gong didn't think so. He looked at the tent with a flickering look in his eyes. Even if there are no immortals, the City of Light is not an easy bone to chew. When you suffer heavy losses, I will intervene. At that time, I will get more benefits. Wei Gong had such thoughts in his mind and disappeared in his own territory. After Wei Gong left, there was a red-haired young man among the warriors standing guard on one side of the tent. A worried look flashed in his eyes. These 7 forces attacked the City of Light together, which meant 7 immortals, plus nearly 300 transcendent realm warriors attacking at the same time. This would definitely cause the sky and the earth to change color and produce strange phenomena. No force on the Aurora Star could stop such a powerful attack unless a saint descended. Master, you have to hurry up, otherwise your old City of Light will be destroyed. The red-haired young man said in his heart, looking at the starry sky with some anxiety and expectation. Yanqing walked out of the room quickly, his body full of energy, 3 times or even more than when he was in the 2nd level of the Transcendent Realm. The Pegasus sacred garment was still on his body, and the white sacred garment was shining. How is it, Yanqing? Zulang came over and forced a smile. He looked a little haggard. Facing 7 major forces, this old man was really racking his brains. I have successfully broken through, Yanqing said quietly, with strong self-confidence in his heart. He wanted to fight Wei Gong in this best state. He felt that he was no worse than Wei Gong. Not bad, not bad. After hearing such a rare good news, old Zhu still looked very unhappy and full of worry. Yanqing, do you think we can hold on? Zulang took advantage of the silence in the yard and said slowly. He had no confidence at all. Yanqing thought for a moment and said, the enemy is numerous, and we are few. If everyone holds the determination to fight to the death, and does not give up, and everyone is united, I can kill a few more leaders and the city can be defended. How easy is that? Zulang sighed, his body hunched over, looking very old. He had spent too much energy that day. For an octogenarian, this was simply a life and death struggle. Yanqing, why don't you take the young master and escape? Zulang said this out of the blue. What? Yanqing was startled. You take the young master and escape. When Xiaobei and Miskin Xiang will go with you, so that the City of Light can still continue, and I can give an explanation to the city lord. Zulang repeated. Yanqing was silent for a while and said, things haven't gotten that bad yet. We can think of another way. If it doesn't work, we can talk about this again. We must prepare for a rainy day first. This must be implemented as a last strategy. Zulang was about to say something again, when suddenly the communicator on his body rang. He answered it. This was a message from the Starfleet General Administration. Old Zhu, it's bad. The enemy has dispatched 7 warships, and is heading towards the City of Light. 7 warships? Zulang's pupils shrank. These 7 forces united and actually dispatched warships. The situation was not good. They only had 3 warships and were no match for the enemy. Beep, beep. At this moment, the communicator on Yanqing's body also rang. This was a message from Helion Shentang. Yanqing answered the communicator and said, Commander Helion, what's the matter? Yanqing, have you made a breakthrough? If you have, come here quickly. The warriors of the 7 major forces have formed a battle formation and are preparing to attack. Helion Shentang said quickly. Well, I'll be there right away. Yanqing hung up the communicator and exchanged a glance with Zhu language. Both of them felt deep pressure. This update is finally completed. 12's eyelids are drooping. However, I have finally saved my integrity and made up for the update, completing the 3rd update. So I shamelessly ask for Sanjiang votes and recommendation votes. I see that the total number of Sanjiang votes is not far behind us, so perhaps we can catch up. Chapter 100, The Battle Comes Again. Under the City of Light, 5,008 warriors marched in battle formation. Their movements were uniform, holding large hot weapons in their hands, and 300 mortal warriors stepped on the spiritual light and held ordinary weapons. In the sky, there were 7 huge warships, slowly approaching, extending the dark main guns, the muzzles filled with energy, giving people a strong pressure. These 7 major forces, including the Xingxiao sect, all brought hot weapons and warships. This was definitely the most unfavorable and most undesirable scene for the City of Light. The soldiers and warriors on the city wall were terrified, and many of them were shaking their legs and looking pale. There were also several people who had a mental breakdown, screamed, and turned around and ran away. Although these people were beheaded by Hellion Shentong in the name of shaking the morale of the army, even if they were suppressed by cruel means, the morale had already disintegrated at this time. Commander Hellion, what should we do? Yanqing stepped onto the city wall, took in the state of the surrounding soldiers, and whispered. He felt that the situation was really bad. Hellion Shentong shook his head, and did not answer. He said calmly, warriors and soldiers of the City of Light, I know you are very scared now, and want to escape. I understand this situation and I understand your thoughts. Facing so many troops, let alone you, even I'm desperate. Hellion Shentong's words made many people lower their heads. Their pupils were dull grey. They were indeed desperate. But, Hellion Shentong paused slightly, and said in a sonorous and powerful voice, even if we are desperate, we can't retreat. Behind us, we have our loved ones. If we can't hold on, do you know what the result will be? Think about it. Under the bombardment, once the City of Light is broken, there will definitely be rivers of blood, and be stained with blood. Don't think that the enemy will take over the City of Light. That's impossible. Have you forgotten how the City of Light was built? Under our feet, there is the ruins of a city. It is very powerful, but after being attacked by various forces, it was directly destroyed, leaving no inch of intact land. If we don't fight, the City of Light will end like this. We can only defend our City of Light, and protect our loved ones, if we fight to the death. As your commander, no matter how terrible the desperate situation is, I, Hellion Shentong, will be with you. Hellion Shentong's firm voice echoed on the city wall, moving and moving. The eyes of the soldiers and warriors changed, and something in their hearts was touched. Swear to live, and I with Commander Hellion, and protect the City of Light. Hellion Shentong's personal guards choked loudly. Swear to live, and I with Commander Hellion, and protect the City of Light. The other warriors roared, and the sound formed a wave, echoing between heaven and earth. The morale of the City of Light has been revived. This Hellion Shentong is really good. It would be great if he could be recruited under his command. Jin Wuxing praised. Don't think about it. This kind of person is loyal at first glance, and there is no possibility of surrender. Shentu narrowed his eyes and said. So what if the morale has been revived? The gap in military strength is huge, not to mention that there are several of us immortals. It's not worth mentioning, but this man is not bad, and he must taste good. Yin Miran licked the corner of her mouth. Are you waiting for the energy of the protective shield to run out, or will you go directly? Wei Gong walked over, his eyes deep, and asked. Of course, we will attack directly. It just so happens that the warrior team has not experienced a fierce war for a long time. This is a rare place to train soldiers. Zhu Wandao, the master of the Xiandi Gate. Not bad. Several other leaders also nodded in approval, watching the changes on the battlefield. Wei Gong remained calm, sneering in his heart. If you think so, this City of Light will be difficult to fight. At this time, the warriors of the City of Light, under the command of Hellion Shentong, chose thermal weapons, and bombarded the warriors below. However, every time the warriors formed a battle formation, they would cause regular fluctuations in the energy, forming a defense field to offset the attack of artillery fire. Switch to shotgun weapons. Hellion Shentong said calmly. Since precise strikes are useless, then switch to large-scale attack weapons. Shotguns are scattered, which is definitely the best weapon to deal with. Bang, bang, bang. This attack finally worked. Some of the warriors below were finally injured and screamed. The formation was a little chaotic, which cheered up the people of the City of Light. Main gunfire. Hellion Shentong seized the opportunity. 3 energy cannons fired from the muzzle of the battleship, aiming at the first battle formation. Hey, using this kind of weapon will not be effective in training. Shentu frowned, and he stretched out a hand, which kept enlarging, and turned into a huge hand that covered the sky, and blocked the 3 energy cannons. The warriors below took the opportunity to restore the battle formation, and their morale was high. With the immortal here, any problem can be solved. Yanqing frowned. This is completely treating them as training objects. Commander Hellion, I will stop the next attack. Hellion Shentong understood, nodded, and stretched out his hand to issue an attack command. Missile attack. Dozens of missiles were quickly fired with flames. Don't repent. Shentu made another move and stretched out his big hand, about to crush these dozens of missiles. Fight. Yanqing silently recited the 9-character mantra, and his energy increased tenfold. The freezing air condensed, and a cold frost tornado swept out. Diamond Stardust Fist. Crack. Yanqing's attack was just right, and when Shentu's large energy hand touched the missile, it instantly froze it to pieces. Who is it? Shentu's face changed. He felt a shocking coldness from the attack just now. The UN energy was even stronger than his. Several leaders were also shocked. Could there be an immortal in the City of Light? They looked towards the City of Light and saw a young man about 10 ** years old standing on the city wall, looking at them fearlessly. Transcendent realm? What a joke. How can such a person block my attack? Shentu saw Yanqing's cultivation at a glance and muttered. Wei Gong, who is this person? Jin Wuxing asked cautiously. This person is the culprit who prevented me from taking over the City of Light. Don't underestimate him. He has the strength of an immortal. Wei Gong said coldly. How is it possible? Several leaders around were shocked. Humph, I want to see how capable he is. Is he really as strong as you said? Shentu showed a magic weapon in his fingers. This was a fairy treasure in the shape of a mountain, with 2 words Kinshin engraved on it. The name of the Kinshin school was named after this magic weapon. Boom. The mountain-shaped fairy treasure instantly enlarged and turned into a real mountain, pressing down towards the City of Light. Yanqing did not move. In order to protect the shield, he had to block the attack. The power of the word fight continued to rotate, making Yanqing's energy boil like the sea. 9 Sun Fist. Yanqing flew into the air, swung his fists, and 3 suns fell down. After reaching the 3rd level, the power of the 9 Sun Fist went up a level again, and another sun was formed. Boom. The 3 suns fell together, directly smashing the mountain away. The mountain crashed into a hill in the distance with a bang, and the ground shook and rocks collapsed. A deep crack immediately appeared on the ground. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.